Do you want to be a part of the CoCo community? Sure, we all do. So join this free weekly live talk show to find out how easy it is to watch at home and learn about your color computer. At the CoCoNation, more than 9 million men and women have participated in the community without setting foot outside their homes. And now at home in your spare time, you can see what's happening, or even join the discussion. Choose from any one of these segments: panel intros, project updates, acquisitions, CoCo thoughts, featured interviews and events, the Game On Challenge, news, Ron's Garage, CoCo commercials, show coverage, panel goodbyes, or you can join one of our extra shows. You can choose from the Game On Challenge Live or CoCo Tech. Join the CoCoNation right now.
Click the link for the free information TJB Chris spoke about. Then decide if you want to watch the CoCoNation Live Show, the world's leading live weekly talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer, its siblings, cousins, and red-headed stepchildren. Visit thecoconation.com. There is no obligation and no salesman will visit you. Visit thecoconation.com.
The CoCoNation show is an unscripted, live, and interactive broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own, and not necessarily those of the CoCoNation show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds are encouraged, and a sense of humor is recommended. Thank you for being a part of the CoCoNation.
Radio Shack? Okay.
What?
The 80s called.
Welcome to the CoCoNation, the world's first live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and its hardware cousins. World's first live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and its hardware cousins.
Somebody forgot to mute YouTube.
Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to episode 382
With the loop.
with a loop. All right, let's see. Who managed to show up today? And I still keep forgetting to hit buttons. There we go. Here we go. Just try that one. All right. Top corner, we've got Rick Euland.
Howdy, folks.
And yours truly in the second slot. Next up, Henry Gernhardt.
Hi, folks. Welcome to the CoCoNation. My name's Henry, and today I'm tired, but not as tired as Ken.
And we got Marco.
Hey, hello, glad to be there. And I don't know how I could follow Henry with all that energy.
Yeah, he's only on a second liter of coffee.
Must be.
Yeah, that's true. This is only my second liter of coffee.
And next up, we got Grant Leedy.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, and Ken Waters.
As Henry said, yeah, I'm tired today, so I can't wait for the news so I can take a nap.
And we got Ron Deluxe.
Ron Deluxe here, a state in the nation.
Okay, and L Curtis Boyle.
I'm going to fool all you guys because I'm going to sleep through the news myself.
Okay.
Don't you usually?
Pre-recorded now, huh?
Nope.
Cat, this is not the time to sit in my lap. Let's
Jettison the cat.
see. Bottom row, Kevin Holloway.
Hello, hello, hello.
And last but not least, Brian Wiesler.
Hello, all. How you doing?
Glad to see you, Brian.
All right, in the chat, we got Kevin Holloway, Wayne Campbell, who's confused to which day of the week this is, Coco Living, who's poking at us, and CRT, Marco, Julian Brown, Michael's Wiffle, Scroll, Tom Eric Gunderson, Scott Cooper, Mikey, N61L, Sixxie, David Ladd, and Wayne again. All right.
Pick
That's
up them
everybody.
pants, Patrick.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Actually, Mark, I hate to be pedantic about this, but I do believe it's November 6th, India Lima.
Oh, for Mikey?
Yeah. That's his call
Yeah,
sign.
it is. It is.
Oh, okay.
My
Right,
call
other-
sign is
Now I can't find
Gemini.
him in the list. All right.
Otherwise, that would be one really long name, N, 61 letters L.
You thought it was Arlie compression, huh? Nerd joke.
We're all
let's
about
see.
nerd jokes.
I got to get closer to it so I can figure out. Okay, so N6IL. Okay. Got to try to remember that.
It's his vanity ham sign.
Okay.
Just call him Mikey.
Okay, let's see. First up, some project updates. Brian, I think you had something.
I have a little bit
Yes.
too, actually.
Yep.
But go ahead, Brian.
But how long will you take, Curtis?
Seconds.
Okay, why don't you go first, and I'll follow up behind you then.
Okay. First of all, my website seemed to be back up. I'm still having some issues on my end with the transfer of my work email stuff, which I'll be working on this weekend after I get actual work done. And I also wanted to mention, it'll be mentioned in the news too, but Wayne Campbell and I have got that first preview copy of the Basic 9 revised manual for NitrOS9 and EUU. And he's been continuing on it. He's actually got another chapter past the one we uploaded to Facebook. And he started on the big chapter, all the keywords. So look for that coming out in the next, who knows how long. We're not setting a deadline for that one, but for September, we wanted to get the part that had all the new graphics commands for doing multi-view menus and stuff like that. So that's my two updates.
Awesome.
'Twas seconds.
Like, give you enough time, Brian?
Let's see here. Yeah, I should be okay here, I think. My camera's not working the way I want to, but I think I can fumble my way through it there.
And that's not new or anything, right?
Yeah, you have a tradition of blurry, fuzzy photo on the camera.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I try. Okay,
does that camera have an option to shut the autofocus off? Because that's actually the main problem with it.
Oh, I don't know if it does or not. I haven't dug into it deep enough yet to really to see if it does or does not have that feature or not. But no, I'll work through it here. So, but I'm ready here. If you guys ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roll that footage.
Okay. So, like I always like to do, I'll do a little guessing game with you guys here. So let me go ahead and switch cameras here to.
Yeah, we totally missed your head on this one.
There we go. Okay. So first off, what do you guys recognize about this?
Retro
It's
Rewind
green.
CA.
6309 CoCo 1-2.
So yeah, it's a 6309 right there. So let's take a little look there and see why it's a 6309.
So you can play the latest hero update that came out yesterday.
All right. Let's see. Let me get which camera do I want here? This one. There we go. Anybody see why it's a 6309?
Well, just because it's a better
it
chip.
has a PLCC version.
Yeah.
It does have there you go. Let me zoom in a little bit here for you guys. I'll fumble with my camera here a little bit. I'm going to do it manually. Usually I have this camera has a couple of autofocuses, and so I can or a couple presets. There we go. I'm working opposite of where I'm at there.
Oh, okay, yeah, and I didn't even recognize that in the initial shot. So
does this run any faster?
This it can go up to this particular 6309. These are capable of 3 megahertz.
T version. Yeah, but it's a different form factor. It's the same processor though, but it's in the PLCC.
How many can I have?
Right?
So these chips are somewhat relatively available. I mean, out on eBay, they're not hard to find. The 3 that I have actually came. Oh shoot! I should have had his name here ready to go. Leslie Anderson. If you're on like the 6309
Facebook group,
Facebook page there, or not 63, yes, the Motorola 6309 Facebook page, you see him quite active out there because there's a lot of single board computer projects that are going on. And I would say here 3 months ago or so, maybe it's been a little bit longer, he posted and he goes, I have another group of these if anybody's interested in. And so I said, yeah, I'll take 3. And so he actually shipped them from the UK for nothing. He's very generous, and he quite often has those. These are pretty available on eBay. They go for about $5 to $9 a pop. But this board is what makes it kind of unique. You can't just buy a PLC 44 to 40 pin adapter like you might for like a ROM. The traces are not correct, so you can always you can make one of your own. But there's a guy out there, and I wish I had the
site.
Oh shoot, I don't have it in front of me here.
Is it at the bottom of the board there? It says something.
Does it say it at the board?
Let's see here.
yeah, it looks like something.com on the bottom on the left there.
Yeah.
Focus is terrible.
There it is. Yeah, you're right. There it is. Let's see if we can we zoom anymore. It's upside down for me. Let's see how good this camera actually can be here. There it is.
ELCC 44.
Digicoolthings.com.
Yeah, Digicoolthings. Yep, there it is. So he actually makes this board. It ships from a little ways away because he's actually in New Zealand. But you go to his website and he sells. I bought 2 sets of his kits. So you can buy a pre-assembled kit, you can buy the parts, and you can buy processors from him. So let's see here. So in one package came 2 of the sockets, which you can buy those yourself, but I figured, well, he already has it all there. So I got a socket. Let me go and back off just a little bit here.
Is that socket a through hole or a surface mount?
Through hole.
Yeah. So then here's the board. Get my hand here right there. There we go. So here's the board that he sells, and you can see it's kind of a fun little bit of soldering that's going on here. So you have to be a little unique. I ended up putting the headers on. He sends this along with the kit here too. So I ended up soldering the headers first, and then I put the 44 pin. But of course, I'm not sure if you can see this or not. Maybe those of you that are hardware people will understand.
They get in the way.
Those pins are right in the center here, right here. And when you put you have to solder these on first, because these row of pins go right through the center of the pins that are for the 44 pin. So you end up having to solder that first, then putting the socket in place. And of course, then when you go to solder that, this is kind of in your way. So you can get these outside ones, no problem. You can get these right here in the middle, no problem. What's a little fun is soldering this inside row here and right here, getting those all in place, because you're soldering from one side of the board and you're soldering from the other side of the board. So you're actually doing both sides of the board. So it ends up being kind of.
I did something similar with my ROM adapter, but the spacing wasn't that tight.
Okay.
So you want to pop that out and show us the bottom of the one that's installed?
There's really not a whole lot.
Not really. It's just headers coming out. Yeah.
It's just a row of headers on the bottom. All you see is just solder. This is basically what you see, with the exception of some pins.
One thing that a lot of people don't realize about the PLCC chips is the terminals on them wrap all the way around to the bottom. And so like where I work, we have some older devices use Atmel that are in that PLCC 44 like that. We literally surface mount them to the board.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that would work. Yep.
You just put down the flux and then you lay it on there and they just get soldered down. They don't need a socket.
So I'm not sure, is this quite possible, the first CoCo? If there's anybody in the chat that's done this before or whatever, please chime up or whatever. I'm kind of curious if anybody's ever done this before. I know in the Motorola 6800 chat there's a lot of guys that have obviously done single board computers, but I don't know if anybody's ever dropped one into a CoCo or not.
Well, here's the other thing. Wouldn't you want to put that in a 3 so it can work with the gimme chip and be even faster, or would it matter?
You potentially you could, but I'll be 100% honest here in full disclosure, Ron. I literally was finishing soldering this minutes before we get on the show, so I did not have time to go grab. I did not have time to go. I didn't have time to go and grab a CoCo 3 that was socketed. I don't know if I have. I think I have one. So
are you going to turn it on for us so we can see the smoke?
No. Turn what on?
You saw it running at the beginning.
That's what you saw in the beginning.
Yeah, Ron, it was running at the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
When you said 6309, that's because I'm running the diagnostic card. Identify this.
Okay,
as a
I just thought it was a static picture. I didn't think it was actually from this.
Nope, that was the real thing there. So anyway,
so it detects whether it's there or not, correct? So if it was a 6809, it would show up there
on the diagnostic ROM. Yes.
Yeah, the one that Retro Rewind did. They included that in their.
Yeah, recognizes up to 8 mega RAM on a CoCo 3 too.
Yep, which we, if you were at CoCo Fest 2 years ago, yep, I had my my Gimme X there when they were selling them last. Maybe it was three CoCos ago. Anyway, I actually had my diagnostic card that I bought from them installed, and we ran it. And the guys from Retro Rewind were so tickled because even though they put it in the programming, they'd never actually seen it count up to 8 meg.
Yeah, that's right.
So I had to sit there running, and they watched it count all the way up. That was the first time.
It does take a while, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I think it probably took. I think it was like better than 20 minutes or so.
Wow.
So to go through the whole memory test up to the 8 meg. So yeah.
I think I ran that on Paul Martin's 8 meg CoCo 3.
So. But yeah, this ribbon cable here, that's just my RGB to HDMI adapter, so I could grab some video for you guys. But anyway, and this is just a white CoCo 1.
So 64K model then. Normally.
Yep.
So you saw this first on CoCoNation.
Right. So let's see. I don't know if was there something else I was going to share with you guys today. I think that was the main thing I was going to share with you today. I got something else for next week, I hope. But this is what I wanted to show. I've been trying to find some time all week. I've been wanting to solder this up for a while, and it's like, I'm going to do it this morning. So I got done running my errands, and I came home, and literally while chatting with a few folks on Discord this morning, I soldered this up, and it worked the first time. So I was kind of excited about that too. So
yeah, that's pretty good.
Anyway, so anyway, I don't know if there's anything else anybody really wants to see about it. His website there is laid out nicely. And like you said, he sells the boards. You could obviously, if you're thrifty enough with one of the circuit board diagram, designing programs, you could probably whip up something pretty easily.
CAD Regal.
Yep. And make it for a lot less. I think he sells I think each of the kits that I bought, which included the socket, the board, and the headers, I want to say they were $15 for the package. And those of you that order boards know that you could probably get that.
Does he sell them fully assembled too?
Yes, he does. I think there's a little bit extra price on that. So, yep. And he sells the processors too, if you want to pick up one.
Because I mean, regular soldering scares me. Having all those pins so close together really scares me.
Just have to have a steady hand. So, and
you see how much coffee I drink? That's not even possible.
So, but anyway, and I'm just trying to think, is there any, I'm not sure what sort of value that there is with something like this, other than just another option out there for a 6309.
Well, like you were mentioning, I think the PLC versions are a lot more abundantly found. So, once you run out of the standard 63C09s, the standard 40-pin dips, this will give you an option to still get them afterwards. In fact, I think this is the one that technically the military actually still requires for certain things.
Okay.
I don't think they need the dip ones anymore. So they're still being manufactured brand new for military contracts specifically. That's how you can still get them.
Right.
So if you had an old
original
CoCo,
hardware,
if you had an old CoCo 2 or 1, I mean, with slow memory, it would still run fine. I mean,
memory has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, that's just what. Yeah, it's just what the CoCo was set at as far as its clock speed. So the processor is capable of going 3 megahertz, but it's just going to go whatever frequency you're running.
0.89 is what.
But you couldn't do it with slow memory. Right?
Sure. No, you can put it.
It works. It works exactly the same as it does now. You're underclocking the CPU to whatever the computer wants.
Yep.
Okay.
The processor is capable of running 3 megahertz. It's not running at 3 megahertz.
I guess what it is I didn't have an understanding of how that worked. Thank you.
Yep. So your Dodge car that you run can go 150 miles an hour, but you're only driving it at 55. So there you go. Does that work? We'll put it in car analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a Hemi, and I don't even know what car stuff is. So.
So anyway, that's all I really have for today, guys. I think was there something else I was going to show? I don't think so. I was trying to.
I actually want to demonstrate the new version of Hero 1.1 that Nick released, because it actually checks for 609 native mode, and we'll kick it in on CoCo 1 and 2.
Did I download that onto here? Maybe I did. Hold on. Let's do this here. Let me.
He just released it last night, so if you didn't download that recently, it wouldn't be the right one.
Nope, I did not download. I think I have the version that the first release that he had. So nope, sorry, I do not have that.
So is this still running right now currently?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How does it feel? Is it hot, the chip?
Is it? No. Ice cold.
Wow. So that draws even less amperage for, the whole machine.
Potentially. Yep, potentially. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So the Porta computer would last longer.
Yep. Let's see here. And none of the tests here really do anything as far as exercising the processor at all. So no. Anyway.
Yeah, the only 609 code in that diagnostic is basically a load W check, I think, or something like that, or maybe a clear D instruction just to see if it is a 609. That's all it does. I think it's clear D.
Anyway, but I thought that was pretty cool. I've been wanting to get that soldered up for a while, so wanted to share it with you guys.
Kevin's up on it.
Okay.
And welcome, Nick.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
And the show's not over yet, so you've got time to download Hero so we can see it work on that.
Yeah, because that's one you have. One you haven't actually tested yet is CoCo 1 or 2 with the 609.
Okay,
yeah, that'd be good to see if it works.
I'll do it right now if anybody has any other
projects. That's right. That's your mission now.
Well, while Brian's downloading it, Nick, you want to explain, like you did a couple of changes, you fixed some bugs and stuff too, and then it was released too.
Wait. Do you say that to him?
Oh yeah, I do. I don't really care what he thinks, so.
Bugs? I don't have bugs.
See, here we go.
Anyway, you want to explain what the update contains, Nick? I guess is the thing.
Well, the update, embarrassingly, is I fixed a bug. So
It's an undesirable feature.
Yeah, that's it. That's the word I was looking for. Or words.
Undesirable feature.
That's right. Unplanned. Yeah, well, thanks to Buck Owens, he, of course, he manages to be one of the best game testers I've ever come up against. He always pulls the bugs out, and he found a biggie one. So,
so is that?
I'm sorry. What was that? What was that?
It was a big bug.
No, you said something else.
A biggie. Biggie.
A biggie. I like that.
Yeah, that's my a biggie bug.
Would
so
this be a Buck test or an Owens test?
Well, a Buck Owens test. Yeah, so he had found it last week actually. So through the week I thought I'd better fix that. And at the same time, there's a few other little things I decided to fix or improve on. And the big thing I did, which is to make it support the 6309. So what it does is it activates the 6309 in native mode so that it runs basic in a 6309 native mode. So that's not rewriting the basic to use 6309 code. That's just to get that slight speed improvement you get by activating the 6309 to run in native mode. The only problem with doing that, of course, is basic, which wasn't written for the 6309. It works up to a point until you get disk IO or play music. That makes it crash. So what I had to do was to make it, I wrote it in such a way that before I execute a disk command or a sound command, I would call the routine to turn off the 6309 native mode, do the disk IO or the sound, and then turn it on right after it. So it's a bit of a sloppy, messy way of doing things, but that's the only way. Without rewriting or patching basic, you can't get it to work in 6309 mode as it is. That's on any CoCo. But you get a very slight speed improvement.
Yeah, I think it's about 10 to 12% from what our testing.
At the most, maybe, yeah, at the most. And that's why I was curious to see if the this other 6309 will work correctly with it. So
yep. I did test it for Nick last night on the Gimme X, and he actually had to fix a bug there too. That's because he didn't know how to do the slowdown.
Yeah,
because he doesn't have a Gimme X to test it on.
I don't actually have a Gimme X, so I was sort of doing things blind. But yeah, we found the bug and I fixed that as well.
Yeah, and I have to say, running at 2.86 megahertz and native mode, actually, it's.
Oh yeah,
I did notice the speed difference.
Yeah, it runs well there. So, but unfortunately, not everyone's got a Gimme X. But on a CoCo 3, even a plain vanilla CoCo 3, it's not too bad. On a CoCo 1 and 2, it is a bit sluggish, but
yeah. And hopefully, once we see Brian try it out here, hopefully it's a little bit better with the native mode kick in.
Now, has he got it running on a CoCo 1 and 2? Or
yeah, it's CoCo 1 64K model, the white one.
Oh, good. I'll be curious to know if that does work then.
Okay.
All right,
I'm ready
then.
here.
Oh, that was quick. Okay, then. Well, let's switch back to
Hero.bass is the one you want.
Okay.
And this is the new one for sure, not the 1.0, right?
Yeah, well,
Yep.
Until the next version of bug fixes.
You want to bring me up, Mark?
You know, it might be interesting, Nick's machine language patch for that to actually somehow patch the sound and disk commands. So it automatically.
I did a quick hack to try to, but
I'm assuming this is unexpected.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay, that's interesting.
Let's try
that looks like a full double CoCo 3 speed up poke with RAM and ROM and the VDG loss refresh.
That's a good screensaver.
Maybe it was running in the background.
WeFax.
Well, it
Hold on
was.
here. Really?
It was, but
Hold on,
we've
let me
lost
get rid of
lost video sync. So
no, Chester.
again, I don't have a
Sixxie
CoCo
on
one.
CoCo 1 to try it on.
Yeah, either of that.
I'm trying to run this CoCo with the keyboard sideways here. Yeah.
Do you have break disabled?
What's
Do you
that?
have break disabled, Nick?
No, not on the CoCo 1 and 2.
Can you hit the break key? Or the reset, I guess. Do you know what line number you did your speed up pokes in?
Well, no, I have to bring up my listing again. I can't remember offhand.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you should try the version 1.0.
But it still runs. It's still running in
baseline.
the background. See if you can start it.
Okay, hold on here.
Because you're only losing video sync.
Yeah,
So-
I think the program's still running.
So
Gee,
in the
it sounds
chat, Buck
familiar.
Owens is saying that the latest version is having issues with BCC and XOR.
So what do you need me to do?
Just hit a
Just press
space bar
enter.
or enter. Yeah. Yeah, the thing changed, so it obviously is running.
Yeah, that's weird.
It looks like a force field or something.
It's like
By
it's
the way,
not in
there's
graphics
comments from
mode.
Buck Owens. He says, the latest from the website appears to have issues with both VCC and XOR. I haven't tried it on hardware.
I've been running it on VCC. Okay, well, looks like I'm going to be busy during this show then.
You've invented the bug multiplexer. Yes.
I reckon.
Exactly.
All
We
right,
should
well,
put Nick in a little window and we watch him debug it live while the show's on.
So I hope this is going to be a long show.
There you go.
Do you have to hope?
Buck is telling you, Nick, check the Discord PM. Private message from Buck.
Okay. I will. Damn you, Buck. Damn you.
Bug Owens.
Well, I can confirm it
Ryan's on
works
that
on a
list now,
CoCo 3
too.
Gaming X properly anyway.
It works on mine properly as well, but
For the 30
Oh, well.
people that have one, but okay, well, for the
Anyway.
people that right now, until Nick gets a chance to fix it, just go download the old one and you'll be getting 6 or 9 native mode support soon.
yeah, I'll try and update it.
It looks like it's doing the full CoCo 3 RAM. And like if you have a CoCo 1 or 2 with the SAM doubler that Brendan Donahue makes, it probably does work. Because that actually lets you run full double speed RAM and ROM just like a CoCo 3 does.
You don't happen to have a standard CoCo 3 there, Brian, to run
No,
it on?
I wouldn't have any CoCo 3s at all. Yeah, give me a few minutes here. I can hook up one of those here.
I
real
think
quick,
I just saw
maybe.
Brian's nose grow about 4 inches on that one.
CoCo 3, yeah, that's one of those anomalies out
Just
there.
so
isn't it?
Actually, I'll fire mine up over here as well because yeah, and I'll look in Discord as well.
Okay, yeah, I have to move a few cords here and stuff like that and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm guessing the CoCo 3 will be fine because it handles double speed ROM and RAM just hunky dory. A little known fact is some of the music players, the multi-voice ones on the CoCo 1 and 2 actually ran that mode at full double speed RAM and ROM to get smoother notes. And they actually told you in their manuals, the screen's going to go bonkers. So don't worry, it's working. And have to shut it off every once in a while playing because otherwise you start losing your RAM refresh too, and then you start getting scrambled memory bits and things. So you'd run it for a bit and then you'd kick it off for a couple cycles and go back to regular double speed and then kick it back in again. Oh, fun times. I think it was Kieran actually did a demo where he actually kicked a dragon into full double speed, I think, and then he would shut it off, or just during the horizontal and vertical syncs where it doesn't distort to the screen, and then would kind of run faster during those periods of time and then kick it back to normal speed so the video refresh worked. He can correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to remember that was him.
That
Maybe it
would
was
be a good way
Stuart.
to get a little bit of a speed boost without too much negative consequences.
Yep.
This is a bit of CoCo tech for you guys.
Yep.
Oh, I'm right now running it on VCC, and it's come up.
What version of VCC you're running? I guess that's one question between yours
I've
and
got
whatever Buck's
the
running.
latest. Oh, hang on, I'll just
2192 or whatever.
2.1.9.1. It's the latest one.
HAL or NTSC mode?
I'm running as let's see, HD 609. How do you? I'm pretty sure it's 6309.
No, he was asking PAL or NTSC though, 60 or 50
NTSC,
hertz.
I meant. NTSC.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Sixxie said, yeah, he did that and it works. You can actually run some full throttle, double speed on a CoCo 1 or 2.
You can't put that on your camera, Nick?
It's not set up quite right, but I've got to run it. I'm gonna fire up my real CoCo 3 and try that as well in a minute while the show is running. Damn, I'm not going to get any sleep this episode.
Not if you're a participant.
That's right. All right. Oh,
I still want the live coding cam, Nick.
Yeah, I know. I don't have one set up. Okay, well, I'm finished until we I can fix
until
it.
his next announcement later in the show. I fixed it. It's up on the website.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Brian's still running around trying to find his non-existent CoCo 3.
Yep. Just let's see here. Okay.
Now, is this a 6309 equipped one or just a regular?
Just a regular CoCo 3.
128K, or does it have more?
Yep. No.
Live game testing.
Yeah. This should work, is my prediction.
Which gimme?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Gimme won't matter. Unless you have a gimme X.
Everybody was, contributing, and I wanted to do. That's all.
Here.
We just need to know all the potential failure points.
Bailed. Didn't like that at all.
Try run hero? No, run quotes hero.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking to see if it was still in memory or not, but
No, it cold started. Whoa.
That's
what it did.
Jeez, what the heck did you do, Nick?
I wonder if it's just the uploaded copy that corrupted.
Yeah, it might have got corrupted.
Because I'm running. I'm just about to fire up my CoCo and check. Actually, I'll copy.
But let me make sure. I downloaded the 1.1. Is that right? Maybe I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, 1.1.
Yep, Buck Owens is saying what you just saw on Brian's screen. That's what's happening for him too. It just reboots.
Okay, I will download the one I uploaded and try that, because maybe that one's corrupted. So, yeah, okay. Because the copy I have on my hard drive here, it's working fine.
Yeah, that might have just got a corrupted disk
So
upload.
maybe got corrupted. Yeah. All right. All right. Give me a sec. You continue with.
So it's not a bug. There, you're rescued. It's a download glitch.
That's right. I can blame someone else.
Yep. Reputation's intact.
On the way up.
Tried to save you, Nick, but I couldn't. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, no, it's good to know, because
yeah, that's happened to me too when I've uploaded stuff even on my website, like a downloadable thing, and people have said it doesn't work, and I'm going, I just ran it, it worked fine, and then I download the copy and no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And you'd figure like uploads and stuff on the internet would have, checksums or CRC checks, but apparently not always.
Nope.
That's why I like to put everything in a zip file. Because
this was a zip.
Yeah, this wasn't a zip file. I've had that problem too, though.
Yeah, that's true.
In the chat, he ran it all.
At 60 said I ran it and all my hair fell out.
Now, Sixxie's just been looking at the nuclear green screen for too long. He's become irradiated.
Gonna Hulk out any moment. Yeah, Michael's wife got a syntax error in 242 and he ran it, so you got a different error.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it got corrupted.
Yeah. Anyway, while you're getting that quickly ready set up, does anybody else have any project updates or acquisitions they wanted to mention?
Continue with the show. I'll actually download the version that's there and just compare it directly.
All right. So anybody else have any updates or?
I'm supposed to be getting the full version of the game for the MC10 there. What's it called? Yeah. So, and I'll get a joystick cable and we'll try that.
Cool. Yeah, actually, I'd love to see that live on the show. Actually, he's got a new video out this week. It has nothing to do with the game per se, but pretty interesting one too. You might be interested in too, Ron.
Oh.
It's another hardware upgrade for the MC10.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
Oh wow, look, it works. I just downloaded the one that's up there right now, and it's working.
And in VCC or on real hardware?
In VCC, I'm about to put it across to my CoCo. Let me just actually start the game proper.
Do I need to turn my CoCo upside down when I do it? Maybe.
Ah, you don't have your CoCo upside down. There's the problem. Yeah,
it's not Aussie enough.
Yep.
This one's working. Okay, I will transfer it to my CoCo and see what's going on.
And I'll throw a little teaser too. I got something coming that Rick Euland's going to want to see here when it comes. So maybe in a week or two, Rick. So little teaser for you there.
Sixxie's asking, in VCC, are you running as a 6309 or a 6809 when you tried it?
6309. Yeah.
Because
okay,
Brian's running a 6809. Maybe try the 6809 in VCC, see if it crashes.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll go to VCC again. Set it to
Live debugging on the air, folks. It's exciting.
I've now switched. Yeah, that's right. Thrill a minute.
Yeah. This is what it looks like, or it feels like to me when I'm watching everybody solder stuff.
Wow. Hang on, hang on. I should be able to share this VCC experience.
Our ratings are increasing decimals at a time.
Right?
More like people are saying, come on, get
Yeah,
over
ignore the
it.
dash sign.
All right. Is that sharing?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're in is 6809. I can see on the bottom.
Yep. It's
And
in
your NTSC?
6809. It's I'll just double check. I've mounted the version I downloaded. Hang on. I'll just verify you probably can't see this part.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I've got the version I just downloaded, and I'm going to run Hero. Now, will it crash?
Time for a commercial.
Yep, it did.
Yeah, it's in double speed and rebooted.
Okay. Shoot.
So you broke the original program when you fixed the 60.
Now, if you switch it back to 639, I'm assuming it'll work.
It'll probably work, yeah. All right, I've just put it back.
And Buck is saying it runs on a real CoCo 3609 512K.
It does run. Okay.
You're my hero.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there it goes. It's working.
Well, now you can demo the 609 native mode anyway.
Well, actually, wouldn't it? It should have worked on the. Oh well, it didn't work on a CoCo 1 and 2 with the 6309 either, did it?
Well,
no.
Maybe it's not a quote unquote completely standard 6309, but it should be.
It shouldn't make a difference. I mean, it's
no.
Yeah. Anyway. Oh well. Oh, we don't need to see the game again, do we? But
well, you can quickly show to see what the native mode speed difference is, because that's what you're running now.
well, this is in a standard CoCo, yeah. So.
Because this should
level
be 609 native mode now, right?
Yeah. Okay. Bit of sound effect. And that's level 1 done. Always a pain trying to support so many different hardware configurations.
Yep.
It's always easier when there's only the one standard you have to write for.
That's why you have to give credit to the PC Windows guys. They have to write for like 5,000 video cards, 6,000 sound cards.
Yeah, I must admit.
300 different CPU variations.
But now we have AI.
That doesn't make any difference.
Nope.
Oops, that was a dead end, wasn't it? Let's go back. So obviously I did have to go past this wall.
Yeah, so it's about 10 to 15% faster. So it looks like if you download the version that's currently on there, if you have a 639 CoCo 3, it'll work fine.
Yeah. So
and give you a little boost.
I've got some work to do during the show.
Anyway, it's good we found that out.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's a problem when you don't have every piece of hardware to test it on. No?
Right.
Yep. So thanks, Brian, for pointing out the bug. Thanks, Buck, for verifying it. That even on emulators, it was having problems.
All right. I'll have to go in and fix it.
He sounds so excited.
It probably would be good.
I thought I finished.
Nick, it'd be good for you if we lost this episode for some reason after it's published.
Yeah, maybe. So I've got to, how do I turn the damn, I'll turn this off. There we go. That should be back to normal. All right, let the show go on as pre-planned. Planned? We don't do that.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Have you seen this show?
I've seen the planning channel. There's not much there.
Yeah, every once in a while we pop in. Is this channel still alive? And that's about the only planning we do.
Yeah.
Well, occasionally guests, I guess we might throw in the planning channel.
All right.
What's next?
Okay.
So I guess we're done with the debugging segment of the show.
That's right. An unscheduled tech segment.
Yeah. Well, we don't even know what happened yet, about what the coding problem is.
No, I'm gonna have a look at it now.
I'm almost guessing that there's a 6309 instruction being written
Yeah,
to 6809.
and then it's shifting the code off, and it goes off into La La Land.
Grant just got back from TA. Did he bring anything CoCo back with him? Oh, he's off camera.
He's AWOL.
Yeah, because nobody else at the panel was at TA, were they? I don't believe.
I think so.
Yeah, he's our one liaison we could actually ask. So of course he buggered off. At least this time he muted his mic.
Right? Let's not revisit that.
No, let's not. I'm sorry I brought it up. Okay.
Commercial?
I guess you could. It's only 45 minutes in, but
Do we have any other segments or discussions?
well, I was going to say we could probably do the game on, then have a commercial, because I do have a fair bit of news because at the tail end it's Septandy still. So
Okay.
you want to do the game on? We can do that first, then clean that up. And besides, Ken may not stay awake long enough to get through news first or anything else. So
Okay, where's my buttons? There it is.
Welcome everybody to the CoCoNation Game On Challenge of the Week results video. This week we played Lava Hero. We had a total of 23 players. We had Damon Beals with 300, Mark B with 325, 8 Bits in the Basement 350, Leap 425, Ed Rhodes 600, Mr. Dave 6309 625. Tied with a score of 675, we had Canadian Retro Things and Mark O. Henry III 750, Coconut Bob 825, Mikey 925, Retro Rick 1100, Henry 1175, Jason Warrens 1250, Jim Rye 1650, David Craker 1850, Tasman 1975, Mike 2350, Shenley 3025, Paul Shoemaker 3100, Kieran 4525, Sloopy Malibu 5150, and this week's number one score belongs to Dr. Ted with 7525. Thanks everybody that played. We'll see you again next week.
And the CoCoNation salutes Dr. Ted. Salute!
And if that color combination didn't wake you up, nothing will.
I love that red.
Okay, so Lava Hero. That obviously is a new game, so all the old magazines didn't have any reviews of it. So
yeah.
So now we need live reviews from the people on the panel that played it.
Yes, live reviews from the people that on the panel that played it. I didn't get a lot of a chance to play it, so
I didn't get a chance at all, so you're up on me.
Fun little game, easy to play, surprisingly frustrating, but still fun.
Yep. Very frustrating. It actually took me a little while to figure out that when you're growing your staff up there, it actually will grow off the top of the screen, because I could not figure out how to get to the further for the first like 15 or 20 times I played it. I kept dying every time there was a an island on the far side of the screen, and I couldn't figure out how to get the thing long enough because I didn't know it kept growing off the screen.
Oh, I didn't find that out.
Then afterwards, I just kept dying anyway because, you know, I apparently have a horrible ability to judge distance.
The short ones are really tough. Somebody else had mentioned that too.
Yeah.
Because they're so quick, you got like, and you only get one shot to get it the right length.
Yep.
Yep. And I think one general thing I saw from I kind of went back and watched a little bit of it afterwards, but it looks like if you have a short distance between your two pillars, if you get one of those little bonus diamonds, like, don't even worry about it. Just try to get to the next thing. Don't even try to get greedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to like trying it when I get time, but I won't be for a bit.
Yeah. It's certainly a fun little game, if not a very quick playing game for most of us. I mean, the people that were getting 5,000 or 6,000 points could play a little longer, but most of my games took under 30 seconds. So
the definition of a casual game.
Yep. And actually, I had to work very hard to get the number of scores of 0 that I got. So I'm quite proud of that.
There's a tip from David Craker in the chat. He said, I was playing Lava Hero again this morning. Lots of fun. The background scenery gives you some cues as to how long to grow the bridge.
Yes, it does. Except, of course, on the short ones.
Yeah, or the really long ones, because like you said, it goes off and there's nothing to gauge against.
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, I didn't play it a lot, so I can't speak too much to it, other than it was enjoyable for me. Other people that played it, what did you guys think of it?
Frustrating.
Yep.
See Sixxie's comment?
So hold a pair of compasses. Actually, I was thinking of getting like what is it? The Odyssey. The Odyssey 1 had the things you could stick to your screen that some of them had grid patterns on them.
Oh yeah, you can kind of like gauge and have little markers as to if it goes up this high, it's going to fall over here.
Yeah. Or print one of those up, and you could become a Lava Hero savant.
Yeah. Well, you notice the couple top scores are like way beyond everybody else.
Yeah.
So obviously, the people got.
Well, that's because AI can judge distances very well. And Sloopy's just really good at Photoshop. That's why he got second.
Yeah, it was a good one. It looks like a good casual game. I'm looking forward to trying it.
Yes. So
and Ken, just out of curiosity, when did you get home? Because you were doing your whole drive back from Ontario to BC, right?
Yeah, I got home Sunday.
Okay. Now are you recovered from the time zone change? Because it's like 3 hours or something.
Yeah, it was a really tough drive because I didn't get a lot of sleep during the drive. The hotels I stayed in were.
Well, you're meant to be awake when you're driving.
Yeah. Yeah, but when I'm driving for 3 days, I'm not going to stay awake for the whole time.
Look like you did.
Yeah. Did a lot of visiting on the way home, so it took a long time to, like, 3 15-hour days of driving.
Yeah, that's a long slog.
So it took me a couple days to just recover from that, and then now my body's still trying to adjust to time zone change, so. That's
Cool.
why I look a little bit tired.
You look the same to me.
Oh, thanks.
We told him he looked blue today, but maybe it's just his shirt.
Baby blue. Okay, enough about me. The game. So yeah, any parting thoughts on Lava Hero?
Got less bugs than mine.
Oh, he had to fix one too, so don't feel too bad. He had a 1.1 release as well.
Give yourself some credit, Nick. You don't normally program in BASIC.
No, this is fine.
True.
Everybody makes mistakes. If I write a program, I'm debugging it for at least 2 or 3 years.
Well, look at me. I've been doing NitrOS9 now since 1992, still debugging it.
So the other game that we played was the Horace one, Hungry Horace. And so with that game, there are 2 versions of it, I believe. The one on the archive has a little bit of a bug in it.
A little.
And apparently, I guess we're going to accept scores from that, because that would just be too hard on poor Mark B if we didn't.
Hey, I did well on that game.
Yeah, you scored like what, 1.2 million or?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how that happened. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the Dragon Archive has the properly fixed one, because actually that was a bug at the time it was released back in the 80s that they did find, and they re-released it back then. Whoever converted the version to the CoCo took the old version.
But hey, if we use the bug version, we just feel better about ourselves. So, so stand on the bell and you get a couple 100,000 points just standing on it for till it
runs out.
So.
That's right. I'll do one without that little exploit.
Oh no, don't worry about it. We'll accept scores. We'll
yeah, we did
look
last
like,
time, so
we'll all look like we're Dr. Ted if we use that bug.
Yeah. We'll have like a 14-way tie with 9,999,990 or something like that before it wraps.
Yeah, so obviously there's that. Another thing about Hungry Horace is you don't have to complete the screen to move on. You don't have to get all the dots. You can, as soon as you walk through the far exit, the screen's over. You can't go back though to try and get dots, so.
That's actually a nice feature, because if you've got some dots that are kind of hard to get because of the guards, then you can just like give up and figure you'll make more points by going on than trying to go back and clean up.
Yeah.
Did you want to show any live footage? Or does
Do
Mark
I want to
handle
show
that?
any live footage? Fine.
Or whoever.
So let's see if we can. There we go. So there we have one. Mark B is playing Hungry Horace, and everybody else is playing Lava Hero except Mikey. I think he
was playing Lava Hero, but he's playing it on an iPad, which actually is a story we'll be covering later.
Yeah, he was trying to play Lava Hero, but he was trying to play Hungry Horace, but I don't think he could get it to control properly, so he switched over to Lava Hero.
Yeah. And I think if I remember, didn't Wayne Campbell come on later and sort of play his SokoBan?
Oh, yeah.
Too?
I think this is a track screen part.
Oh, Mikey's gone now, but Wayne Campbell is now playing his SokoBan. He's speed running SokoBan.
Yeah, speed running it. That's what I was going to say too, because he cranked through like 14 levels in the second half of the show. It took me like weeks to do that on the original. I'm not very good at puzzle games.
Yeah, I'm still on the track team, track mode.
And Jim Rye's playing the CoCo 1.2 version, we should mention, of Lava Hero, which is why the colors are different.
Yeah. It's lava by green grass.
Yeah. He still picked pretty good colors with lava, though. Yellow and red combo, that works pretty good.
Yep. So yeah, obviously this is the live Game On challenge that we played. So obviously, as you can see, though, because Wayne's playing his SokoBan, you don't have to play the games of the week. You can play something else if you feel like it. So,
especially if you're Bob Emery.
Yep. Although Bob wasn't there this week, so.
No, he's not here today either. I hope he's okay.
Maybe he's just had enough of us. He needed a vacation.
Yeah.
Understandable. Oh, Wayne's correcting me. He made it through 18 levels by the time the show ended.
Okay. There we go. I think if I played it, I could make it through 1.
Yeah. There's your next Game On challenge. Throw that in there. Who can speed run in a 2-hour period? Hey, cool. I'm definitely looking forward to trying Lava here, and I'm actually looking forward to trying SokoBan because I've only very briefly tried it when I was helping Wayne fix a couple of minor bugs way back, and I haven't had a chance to even try the fixed one.
Yeah. So if you want to join us to play the either the games of the week or any other CoCo game you feel like playing, then you can join us Thursday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern on the Game On Challenge channel in Discord. And just join us, hang out and chat, or you could
you can also watch the live stream on Twitch and YouTube and chat
watch
there
the
as well.
live stream, chat there, or play games with us, or do what you like. We accept all people.
Yep. Nick Mendes, I just because I just saw it here, Paul Fiscarelli saying Heroes bailing at line 242 where you do a load M graphics.gfx. If that helps you.
Hang on, what say again?
Hero is bailing at line 242 where you do a load M graphics.gfx.
Oh, that's because of the speed. Yeah, it's not setting the speed. Remember that problem you mentioned yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll have to fix it. It's trying to work out why it's not working.
Okay, so be there, be square on Thursdays, and I'm square. I've been square the last couple of weeks, so my apologies.
Absolutely awful. Curtis never shows up anymore. It's like he doesn't even like the CoCo anymore. He's just like, CoCo people.
No, it's more modern hardware I'm hating right now, but that's a long story I'm not going to get into on the show. As I told Nick yesterday, I'm actually thinking about just going full retro and just do everything on the CoCo. I'll run links and stuff to run web pages because it's more reliable.
I often feel that way too. None of my retro collection ever blue screens on me.
Yep. Stuff functions like it's supposed to.
Yep.
If you have an error, it's because there's literally an error, not some random phase of a quantum shift or whatever.
Sunspot.
Yeah, they do it on the John Wick movies. Whenever there was an order given, it's all issued on retro equipment. If you ever pay attention.
Yep. The VIC-20s they use.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of retro, I assume there's another retro game to play on the CoCo next week.
Well, good for bringing that up, because we're going to be playing Hungry Horace for one more week. And we are also going to be playing... See if anybody gets it from this screen.
Oh, shoot. This is by Oregon Computer Systems.
Anybody but
Catacomb?
Curtis.
Oh, whoops. Did I guess
Okay,
right?
Curtis got it right.
Oh, I did. Okay. I wasn't sure on that one.
Where's this? There we go. So this is not to be confused with the CoCo 3 game Catacomb. This is the CoCo 1, 2, and 3 game Catacomb. So
by the makers of Cron, which we've played before on the Game On Challenge.
Yep. So in this game, I think it takes a little bit of an explanation. On this screen, you have to collect fuel. So as you can see on the side, you've got a fuel bar, empty and full. So the little things running around in the, a lot like Poltergeist, you got to avoid getting hit by those things. They're like the cars. They're just monsters that run back and forth. And at any point, you don't have to actually fill your fuel bar up. When you think you have enough fuel, you hit the fire button, and it takes you to the warp screen, which is this one. And you're the little guy at the bottom, and these things are coming down at you, and you have to either avoid them or shoot them for points.
So it is a space game, because they sell.
Yeah, this reminds me of Time Fighter by Mark Data a bit, actually.
Yeah.
Where's
so
the cats?
Where's the what?
Where's the cats?
I'm
Catacomb.
lost.
Where's the cats?
Oh.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were asking where my cats were, and I'm like, thank God they're not here crawling all over me.
Supposed to comb a cat.
The descending eyeballs and ears that you see coming.
I know, Mark, you were very excited all of a sudden that you were going to win this week because you have lots of cats to comb.
Got an edge.
Yeah, there's 4 of them in here right now.
So, yeah. Let's see, just a second here. I will give you some information on this game. It's by Roger Smith, and Oregon Color Computer Systems was the publisher. And 16K, CoCo 1, 2, or 3 joystick. So, as I said, there's one by L Miller from 1987 that is also called Catacomb. That's not the game we play. That's a CoCo 3 only game. So
yeah, that's kind of like a basic version of a very simple gauntlet style.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally different game.
It's called Catacombs with an S. The L Miller one.
Oh, okay. I didn't look that closely. All right. So that's the game for the next 2 weeks.
Doesn't that give you static electricity?
Foaming cats?
Yeah.
Only if you rub balloons against them. And then it's just really funny as they run around with the balloon stuck to their back and trying to get rid of them.
Right.
Like whether they get stuck in a paper bag and go nuts.
None of this is on video.
I've never done that to my cats. That would just be mean.
Yeah.
Kind of like putting little booties on their feet so that they run around trying to get them off.
How did you describe it so well?
I've heard. This is all.
He's watched many YouTube videos, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Reels. Too many reels.
Yeah.
Okay, so games for the next 2 weeks is 1 more week with Hungry Horace, and then 2 weeks with Catacomb, the Oregon Computer Systems version.
Yep.
Which requires a CoCo 1 or 2 joystick, and I can't remember 16 or 32K, but 32K or less
16.
for sure.
16.
Okay.
And it runs on CoCo 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an RGB patch for the CoCo 3 you can download as well.
Oh, cool. I didn't know.
Oh, if you're going to get fancy.
Right.
Or you can just get a Gimme X and it'll do it for you. But That's not obtaining him.
And it's only 16K that you need, so it's
Unless, has anybody on the panel heard any updates from Alan? Alan 8-bit Zone, if his Gimme Z is coming along? I haven't heard anything from him lately.
Yes, he is. He's working on them. He has the first batch done, but he found a bug, so he's working on that, and he wants to get that ironed out before he releases them. But he's been extremely busy. His son is quite active in sports and whatnot, and so between family time and working on the bug, but he's hoping to probably release them soon, but he didn't give a time frame. He just said that he's working on a few issues.
Did you recommend that he talk to Nick Morentis about bugs? No?
That's right. Yeah. Gotta release it first, then fix bugs.
Deny.
Okay, well, I think wraps up the Game On challenge. So, Mark, if you want to go to a commercial, I can go grab some more coffee, and then we can get into the news.
Okay.
Hey, Amy. Hey, Taylor. We're watching the CoCoNation show. Yeah, we are. Woo! You should too.
Hello everyone, it's your good buddy, your good pal Amigo, and joined by that dastardly The Brent from ARG Presents.
You're watching CoCoNation.
I feel like that should have been longer.
The CoCoNation show would like to thank the following patrons. AC's 8-Bit Zone, Alex Gayer, Brandon Dunny, Brian Walsh, Brian Wiesler, Karen Anscombe, Coconut Bob, Daddy Burrito, David Ladd, Derek Smithson, Diego BF109, Don Barber, Eric Canales, Glen Hewlett, Graham Wabke, Grant Leedy, Henry Strickland, Jason Warrens, Justin Larson, Ken Reichard, Kevin Holloway, Paul Fiscarelli, R. Allen Murphy, Retro Tech Time, Rob Inman, Rocky Hill, Steve Batson, The Break Key, TJB Chris, Tom C., Tom Gunnarsson, Tom S., and William A. Thing. Thank you so much, patrons. If you would like to support the CoCoNation show, please sign up at patreon.thecoconation.com.
Welcome to everybody's favorite segment, Who's New to Discord?
Lifeblower says, name, Flavio. Systems, TS2068, CoCo and Clones, ZX Spectrum, Amiga. How do you retro? Mr., various flavors of Myst and other FPGAs, emulation. Where did you hear about us? Downloaded CoCoPie today. Looking for? Just like-minded people and learn more about preservation of retro systems. The previous bios were edited for time. Thanks to Glenside Computer Club, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Tandy Color Computer 3, and the CoCoNation patrons for boosting the server. Please consider joining Discord and visiting the welcome section to read these bios in full and see what the community has to offer. Just go to discord.thecoconation.com.
See you on Discord.
When you want the latest in TRS-80, Tandy, Dragon, MC-10, and all of their hardware cousins. No matter what it takes, or where news breaks, from around the world to your nation. The CoCoNation News with L Curtis Boyle.
Okay, just before I get started, Sixxie put a comment in the chat saying, wow, that was really out of sync. And so I asked him what he meant by that, because I don't know if he means like video to audio or something. I did a quick look of the actual stream and it seemed to be fine here. So,
or we did the show a little out of order.
Our salute was that
well,
crappy.
That's everyone, isn't it? So anyway, I'm hoping there's not any technical problems, but
yeah, I don't see.
Hey, Curtis,
on my end.
you ought to sell those fire blankets. You ever see those? There's this fire blanket. If you're having a fire at home, you can throw the blanket on it and it completely extinguishes it.
Oh, well, I just avoid the whole problem by not soldering.
Oh, okay.
He said the ARG Presents clip had bad AV sync for him. So just the one clip. I don't know if that one's out or he just had a glitch in the matrix there.
Yeah, you must have, because that's the same
one we do all the time.
I always run, yeah.
Okay.
We are having
all of those
solar stuff going on.
Oh yeah, there's solar flares are talking about getting northern lights in England again too. So
tonight, yep.
Oh, that'll definitely jack with internets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I've had nothing but wrestling with Microsoft all week.
Thankfully, my computers.
That has nothing to do with solar flares. That's all on Microsoft.
That's Microsoft flares.
Yeah, I've told people at work that if I break out in Sailor's Oath, it's only because I upgraded to Windows 11.
Oh, you poor man.
Yeah, well, I've got a whole tirade of stuff to go against too, but I'm not going to bore everybody with it. It covers multiple facets. Let's put it that way. Anyhow. Okay, so first up, I'll cover some of the upcoming conventions because a whole bunch have completed the last few weeks. We actually had, I think, 3 weeks in a row with stuff going on. And now we had a 1 week pause. And basically not this next week, or this weekend, I should say, but the next weekend is the official Dragon Meetup. And that's on October 12th to 13th at the Museum of Technology in Cambridge, England. I've seen a few people that have verified they're going, a few people verified they can't make it. I believe Sixxie's kind of on the fence. So, but it looks like it'll be a pretty good show as usual. And I'm hoping to get some of them to either send some pics or maybe even pop in during the show to kind of show us around a little bit if they can.
During the pub time?
If they haven't gone to the pub already. Or they can just show the pub. Or actually, just even pictures would be nice. We can just show those off during the show. Because of the time difference, I think they'll be done the actual show floor stuff by the time we go on the air. And if I remember, England's on different daylight savings than Canada and the US. And I can't even remember when ours is because we don't do it here in my province. When does the switchover happen? Is that beginning of November?
Yeah.
In the United States, it's the beginning of November.
Yeah, Canada, I think, is the same, but I think it's off by a few weeks in Britain.
I think it's 2 weeks in Britain.
Okay, so anyway, that's a good one. You can check that one out if you're in the area. Another one that's happening in the UK about a month later is the Retro Computer Festival in November 9th to 10th. And this is at the Centre for Museum History in Cambridge, England. So it's just down the street from where the Dragon one is. This is the largest show in England for retro computers. You can see here it's got 2 different days booked. They've actually got a list of some of the vendors and stuff there now. Definitely looks to be fun. Like the Dragon Meetup, they're both at museums that are very interesting for a lot of us geeks. The Dragon one's at the Museum of Technology. So there's a lot of cool stuff to see there. And then the one we're looking at right now, the Retro Computer Festival, is at the Computing Museum. So there's a whole bunch of neat stuff to see there. So it's kind of a twofer. You get to attend a great retro computer show, and you also get to go through an actual museum with a whole ton of stuff that's nice and rare and interesting. A lot of historical stuff there. Coming up in 41 days, 19 hours, 44 minutes, and 21 seconds is NitrOS9. This is the Brazilian retro computer show. And we've actually had some live broadcasts from there before. There's a big representation by CoCo and all the CoCo clones that Brazil had. Codemax, CP400 1 and 2, and a whole bunch of others. So we're going to try to get some live show coverage of that as well when it happens. That is on November the 16th. And it's basically an all day one. And it's in southern Brazil. And a few of the people that we've had on the show from the show before, from the NitrOS9 show, I should say, do speak really good English. So if you did want to attend this and you don't speak the native language, you have a couple people there that can do some pretty good translation for you so you can enjoy the show. And they've even offered to be tour guides for the area because it's actually right near some beaches and stuff, which are, you might be able to convince other halves to come along with. Then we get into next year. So VCF East is April 4th to 6th. And they actually have it on the calendar. There's no direct link yet. It's at the same place it was last year, which is the InfoAge Science Museum in Wall, New Jersey. And I know a few people from the CoCoNation attend this regularly. I think, Henry, you were at it last year, if I remember correctly.
VCF East, yeah, I was at VCF East in this past.
And is this something you're planning on attending again? I know you've been kind of spoiled watching all the VCF Midwest. Obviously, that's the biggest show, but
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely going. I'm definitely going to East. Midwest is like a day and a half. East is like 3 full days.
okay. I know Sloopy's a regular there because it's actually near to where he lives, but he's not on the show today, so I couldn't ask him. And then the last one, which has had the official announcement now for the public, we've had some private ones already, is that VCF Southwest, the one in Dallas, Texas, the home of Tandy. Well, Fort Worth technically, but Dallas-Fort Worth is kind of just one big schmoz. And that one's on June 20th to 22nd, and that's at the Davidson Gundy Alumni Center at the University of Texas at Dallas. Tickets and tables are going on sale in January, so you can't get them quite yet, but they have made the announcements. So you can kind of prepare for it. And they'll be giving you details at the beginning of January as well. And this is one I think, Mark Bosley, you attended last year, correct?
Yes, I did.
And have you been to a VCF Midwest before? Or?
No, that was my first one.
Okay. And you quite liked it. I think there's some other CoCo people there. I know Boise actually, I think, gave a presentation. If I remember, some of the Tandy guys get together on Saturday night and kind of have a
I
reminiscence.
never could find that. No one seemed to know about that one.
Or maybe they just didn't want you to attend.
Could be.
Is it worth going to, Doug? Because I'm thinking about going to that this next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's like the rest of them. I picked up stuff off the free table.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll make my reservations then.
I mean,
I was going to ask you, because this is why actually I'm thinking about trying to attend this upcoming year with Brian Wiesler, if we can carpool it. And Ken, we'll have to talk. I don't know if you'd be available for that as well. But what, like, because this is actually held on a university campus, where do you stay as far as hotels? Are you a fair ways away, or is there something on the campus itself?
No, not on campus, but my hotel was about 5 minutes away. I mean, it's not a huge university. It's I don't know, like a.
That's a pretty good sized university. That's where the President Bush went to.
I mean, it's not tiny, but it's not.
It's not like a sprawling megalopolis like some of them are.
Right,
with
right.
their
I mean,
own city.
You can get around. I mean, there's of course they have a couple of food trucks there, but I mean, there's also restaurants, within 5 minutes. I mean, you get right off campus and it's just a normal metropolitan area. I mean, there's grocery stores and restaurants and everything else all around there. So
okay. Because I would like to talk to Mark Siegel. Unfortunately, I don't see him in the chat today, unless somebody else has seen him pop in. Because if we can make it down there, I would really like to meet up with the Tandy guys. And
I did get to meet him. I met him while I was down there, and got to chat for a bit, and ran into Adrian Black.
Yeah, he seems to make most of these retro shows these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a good time of it. It was big enough that they did have it spread across 2 buildings as far as the displays go. And then they had the actual lecture halls for the seminars.
Okay. So kind of separated for seminars in one building, and then the actual displays and tables and.
Yeah, the displays were. I mean, you had the main room, and then they had an overflow room in the next door building. And then they had a third building that was, with the classrooms. So that's where they had all the seminars.
Okay.
Actual.
So like Boise Seminar and Chronology Gaming would have been in that area.
Yeah, TJB Chris had his over there. They had 2 different rooms set up, and of course they had like last minute ones added. So you had to watch they had the schedule put up on a big screen in the main hall, so you got to see what was coming up.
Okay.
So
I'm trying to remember,
there's
like, the CoCo people, obviously we had Mark Siegel and some others there from Tandy. Brendan, or Boise, I should say, actually gave a seminar. And Brendan's a regular vendor there because I think that's nearby him too. So was there any other CoCo people you met there?
It's getting fuzzy. But I mean, because I mean, I saw all kinds of stuff there, beyond CoCo. Like the guy with the Model 1, that recreation, the guy that sells the blue scuzzies, Chris Cherry Holmes.
Tom Cherry Holmes, you mean? The
Yeah.
FujiNet guy?
Yes, FujiNet guy. He was there, and he had I think he had 3 webinars or 3 seminars or something like that.
Yeah, he tends to be pretty busy.
I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, he was a table potato at VCF Midwest, but wherever he goes, he's like got 2 or 3 speaking things that he's doing.
Yeah.
So for the space, it was pretty well packed because like the main room, you had some sub rooms off of that, and then they had the some more overflow in the next door building.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm thinking if the finances line up and so far it's looking like it might, then I think I might try to actually attend that one this year as well as CoCo Fest. So.
Okay. Yeah, it was like I said, you get a couple minutes off campus, and you got your normal group of hotels and stuff.
Okay, and the hotels are decently priced. They're not astronomical or anything. I haven't done any research on it yet, so I was hoping we might remember.
No, I think mine was a little over 100.
Well, that's not bad. That's very competitive with the CoCo Fest one then.
Yeah, it's not like Chicago,
Or West Virginia, unless you want to stay at the Motel 6.
Right. Yeah,
it's really not a bad Motel 6.
No, actually, I'm picking a couple guys up there, Laurent and yourself, talking to you about it, and Laurent, we picked up there. It actually looked like one of the best Motel 6s I've ever seen.
It's surprisingly good.
Yeah, because the main hotel that Frank and us stayed at, that definitely was a fair bit more money than I was expecting. Actually, especially for a small town in West Virginia, it was like $200 plus a night, I think.
Good Lord,
pretty close to it.
Yeah, it'd be fun to go. It'd be fun to go, Curtis.
Oh yeah, Brendan Donahue was there, I think.
Yeah, I know he's there. So, and I'm hoping he might have some announcements, maybe replacement chips to finally get stuff like the CoCo VGA and stuff going again. That would be cool. Hey, Ken, since I saw you popped your camera back on here, is that something you think you even have a shot at going to, or you're muted? You're still muted. Of course, since I'm sharing the screen here, nobody else can see you doing this. So.
Oh no, they can. He's down in the bottom corner.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Okay. If you want to swing by my cabin and pick me up, sure.
Oh, you're going to be out there already by June?
Yeah, I usually go up at the beginning of June.
Okay, for some reason I was thinking it was July you went. Just before VCFs and stuff.
Although if you're going, then I may say just I'll meet you there.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll try to get all the details organized there. They're not even taking any exception for tables and stuff.
It's only a 25-hour drive from my cabin, so.
Yeah, it's about the same from here, actually. I have done the drive before because I actually attended a ticketing conference in 2020. In what the heck was it called? It's a big fancy hotel, Gaylord Texan or something. Is that ring a bell to anybody?
Yep, it's a big hotel.
Yeah, that's where I stayed, and we had huge discounts on the rooms because they would have been way out of my price range otherwise. But Trina's Technobabble in the chat is saying I should probably mention also the World of Commodore, which is I think organized by some of the same people that did the World Retro Computing Show that was just a couple weeks ago. Is going to be in December in Toronto. So if you are one of those people that does multiple platforms, that's definitely going to be one you might be interested in doing. And that's put on by TPUG, which is the oldest surviving users group of any home computer, even including ours.
Yeah, don't forget the CoCo Fest. I've updated the website there too.
Oh, okay. Is everything online? You can start ordering, booking rooms and stuff, and
Yeah, you can start booking rooms now. So you just need to contact the hotel or go to their website, and they can do it there. But yep, got the codes up and ready to go.
Nice.
Cool. And we're getting coffee this year for sure. I have to make sure that every year. You've threatened, removing coffee before, so
Everybody but Curtis gets coffee.
Just whatever you do, don't confuse the coffee for the
hot chocolate. Yeah, that was a huge disappointment when I took the first swallow of that without looking.
And don't worry, Curtis. If he cuts you off from coffee, I'll sneak you some.
Okay, cool.
No, I'll just ban all Canadians from it. So the problem solved.
All right. Well, Henry, you have to be our person to hook us
our
up.
Liaison.
Liaison, yes.
I'll have my French press with me.
That's going to be too slow if Ken and I are both drinking.
Also, if you are wanting to do a presentation, make sure you let me know. I got Curtis down for 7 right now, so.
I am not doing that.
You know what, Grant? Go ahead and put me down for 1.
Okay, I will.
4th?
Sure.
Or just some in general. Whatever you have ready by then.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the ones I have mentioned for now. If anybody has any others that are coming up, some of the other VCFs and stuff, because there's so many of them, I don't even remember what all ones to check for. Let me know. Send me a message on Discord or an email, and I will add them to the list so that everybody can try to pre-plan as much as they can for the one that's in their area. I'm hoping Wayne Campbell, because I know he's in the chat here, he was going to try to make the, what is the one in California called? SoCal, I think?
SoCal. Yeah, that's coming up.
He was going to try to make it, but couldn't quite at the last minute. I'm hoping with this much lead time, maybe he can. It'd be nice to have a couple more CoCo people there. I know Tom's Cherry Homes was showing some of the FujiNet CoCo stuff there, and there was a couple other CoCo exhibits too there. So it'd be kind of nice to see if Wayne can get down there as well.
Yeah, Curtis, did you see they've set their dates for SoCal?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, check the chat. I sent you a link.
Which chat? Oh, you're in
Zoom.
Discord?
Yep. No, in Zoom.
Or, yeah, sorry. Oh, that's even earlier. I should have that in there.
Yep.
Same venue?
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure. I guess so.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, well, I'll add that right now. February 15th to 16th of 2025 is VCF SoCal, which is in Southern California, obviously. And you gave me the web link, so let me just copy and paste that. Yeah, the hotel fair in Orange, California. That sounds the same as last time. And I definitely wouldn't mind being in California during February, because Ken and I know what the weather's like up here in February.
Absolutely. And also, Curtis, I guess I was going to talk to you about it, but since it's on my mind right now, I can arrange for the guy that does the SoCal Fest or Vintage Computer Festival here, if we want to have him on as a guest one of these days.
Sure. And actually, since his show is coming up pretty quick, yeah. I'm trying to, did we have him on last year? I thought we did, but maybe I'm remembering somebody else.
No, I don't think so.
Because wasn't it a husband and wife team that was doing it?
Yeah.
I can't remember now if we did.
If we did, I missed it.
Or you're sleeping.
Because I met them for the first time last year when I was down there. So
cool. Well, thanks for alerting me to that, Henry. I didn't realize it was coming up so soon.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so that covers that. I'll go switch on to Game On news because there's not a ton of it, but there's some pretty interesting stuff in there. And we'll have I just got to show up on Nick's site just to show that his game's broke.
Yeah.
why am I on the screen?
There, you should be off the screen now. Okay, you guys should be seeing Alien Attack, I believe.
Indeed.
Okay, so Jim Gary was busy this week, as he is just about every week. Did a couple game converts that we'll cover now, and then he did one that's not a game that we'll cover in the regular news later on. But the first one he converted here is called Alien Attack. This is from the 1984 book Space Adventures, which I believe, Ken, you actually own a copy of. I think that's one of the books you showed off. It was originally written by Peter Lear and adapted in the book by Scott McCann. A little bit of music to start it off. And it kind of reminds me of Space Zap, but with 8-direction firing instead of 4, which I thought was kind of neat. Yeah, and at least that's what I'm assuming this is kind of. It looks like you're firing from your almost Star Castle type thing. And it looks like these orange things are coming in towards you and firing at you as well. But having to keep track of 8 directions rather than 4, if I'm understanding this correctly, and if Jim's in the chat, he can correct me if I'm wrong, that would be a bit of a challenge. So, Ken, is this one of the ones you've typed in from the book yourself? Like, have you tried the CoCo version of it? Am I off base on what I'm saying?
I have not. It's one of the ones I haven't typed in.
Well, get on that and...
Yes, sir.
And make it a game on challenge. And Nick will add native mode to it so nobody can play it.
Yeah,
Just
that's right.
Typing it in is the game on challenge?
Typing it in so it works is the game on challenge. Oh, boy. I need more sleep.
If Jim Gary keeps working at what he's doing, by the year 2032, the micro color computer will have more games than the CoCos combined.
That's actually probably true. However, we will have way more machine language games.
Yeah.
I know, Jim, I don't think I put this in the news or not, but because it was just a general thing. Jim's actually working on trying to convert a bunch of home games from the 1977 to 1983 era for the MC10s. He was asking for listings. And I have a couple that I actually still have handwritten listings of that I did when I first got my CoCo. I might even have one or two from when I used the pet that I'm going to send him one of them. There's one for sure I know I still have. It's one of the ones that also I think had a problem when the big Color Basic ROMs updated their keyboard scan routine, so I'll have to try it out a bit first, but I'll see if I can send it to him. But just as a general thing, if any of you have done any games back in that time frame, the 77 to 83, just basic, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, doesn't have to be published, but you want to send him to, excuse me, Jim, to convert over the MC10, you can just hit him up on Facebook or on Discord.
I sent him the Stellar Odyssey that we were talking about last week.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's one I wouldn't mind converting over to the CoCo, actually, at some point. Maybe in semi-graphics.
Yeah.
The next one he converted is Snail's Trails. From another book called Fantastic Games from 1984, originally written by Peter Lear as well. And I think this is part of that same series, isn't it not, Ken? And have you got this one as well?
Yes, it is. I do have that one, and I have typed that one in.
Oh, okay. So you can explain the game then, because I don't remember.
It's kind of like Tron bikes, except slower.
Okay. Oh, I see it supports 2 simultaneous players, too.
Yep.
That'd be a bit crammed on the old MC10 keyboard.
It's a 2-player only game, I believe, if I remember correctly.
It's a bit loud. Oh, so it's kind of like a Light Cycles snake game or something. Does the background mean anything?
Yes, you're getting points for going through the different colors.
Okay. So it's not just, kill the other guy and cut him off. It's also try to...
You have to get as many points as you can.
Okay. At least that adds something to this Tron Light Cycle / Snail thing. There's a bit of a reward.
If you have a friend, it's actually a really fun game. I just unfortunately haven't had any of those for years.
Friends? Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Friend.
Yeah, being a geek programmer, that kind of limits that till only at fests.
Yeah, I always wondered why they would make a game that's only for 2 players in a computer programming book.
Right?
Really?
Ken, you can have AI as a friend now.
Well, I always had to convince my mom to play games like this with me when I was a kid.
I had a little brother, at least. He wasn't as much into video games as I was, but he did like some of them, so there's a few. But I did have like our computer club, and we had a couple of people that lived fairly near me.
Where's
like
your
Dwayne
brother
Downing.
now?
He's in Alberta. He's an entire province over. He's about a 5.5-hour drive from me. And he's
So,
kind of busy with 3
basically right
kids,
next
etc.
door.
Yeah, in Canadian terms, yeah.
And he's an Apple user?
No, he's a PC CAD guy.
Mm.
But he's also got, like I said, 3 kids and does a lot of, driving quads around in the summer, so I don't see him much.
Does he like soldering?
He's better at it than I am.
Does he have a 3-part name?
Mind you, I think his pet dog is better at it than I am, but what was that, Ron?
Does he have a 3-part name?
No, he just goes by his regular name.
Well.
The only reason I do it is because of my dad's first name and my first name are the same, and then we actually did have problems with some government agencies confusing the 2 of them. So, like,
they kept
one time when
sending
we got
you his money?
no, like sending driver's licenses and vehicle registrations and stuff to the wrong person with the wrong car
Right.
type thing. That caused problems.
All right, you've had credit since you were 8. Great.
Yeah. Okay, and then the final one he did from the same book, Fantastic Games, is called The Getaway, originally written by Howard Evans in 1984. Is this one you've typed in, Ken?
Yep, this is probably my favorite one out of this book.
Okay, well, I'll fast forward the instructions since you actually know what's going on. So let's see. What do you have to say about the game? What do you do here?
You are catching money as you're the getaway driver, and your partners are throwing the money out of the bank, and you got to catch it.
Yeah, I had a dream like that once.
Okay, so it's kind of like Catch 'em or Kaboom or something.
Run
Oh,
your
this is
way.
different.
You find out it's Canadian money.
Okay, what are we doing here, Ken?
You're trying to figure out. You've got so many guesses to try to figure out the right letter to push to get away from the police.
Okay, you got one of your guys arrested, I saw.
Yeah, so you got three men with you, and
Can you use this money to get him out of jail?
probably not.
That's interesting. So they took a Kaboom, but they actually threw in a little mini game afterwards, too. That's
Yeah, a little guessing game.
That's kind of interesting. So both of the games we've covered here from this book are basically arcade standards, very simple arcade standards, but with something new thrown in.
Yeah. So obviously, like the next time you go through, the N is not going to be the letter that you choose. 'Cause that one's already
Does he ever
used.
win one here? I'm going to have to see. I got to see what happens when you get away from the cops.
I believe you just drive your van drives away.
Drive away.
Start in the middle and work both directions.
Oh,
Alternating.
geez, this guy's terrible as a crooked. They've lost all the money they've stolen. Oh, they escaped. Not by much. Just pulled one car length and stopped again.
Hey, it escapes an escape.
Right, right.
Maybe the cop has, bad bifocals and can't see past it for a certain distance and figures they're just gone.
It's because it was dusk and somebody had put shoe polish on his headlights. So, and don't ask me how I know that people used to do that.
So this was your favorite of the Fantastic Games book, and I believe Tandy sold these, didn't they?
Yep, they were sold in the Radio Shack.
Yeah, I seem to recall there was a series of like 3 or 4 books, I think, that kind of came
I
out.
believe it's 3. And I've got 2 of them right now, I think.
Oh, okay. So you're still missing one. There's a Space Games, a Fantastic Games, an Adventure Game one or something? I can't remember anymore.
That sounds right. Just a second. Let me see what I got.
Because space games sell.
Yeah, just ask Rick Adams. The Temple of Rom in space. Yeah, while
so
he's
we
running
have,
it. Oh, go ahead.
Space Adventures and Fantastic Games is what I have. So.
And does it list what the other one is?
I'm just looking.
Is this Howard Johnson's brother?
No, it does not list the other games. But the nice thing is that it actually breaks the games down pretty good in here, and it gives you like how the games are made and why they do what they do. And
so it's not just type in listings. It actually has some teaching.
So I don't know if you want to bring me up. For
Yeah,
a
I can
second.
stop sharing for a sec here.
Just quickly show you here.
Gotta zoom them up there.
So that's the Space Adventures. And $5.95 at Radio Shack.
Cheap.
Nice.
So at the back of the book,
today's money is
like it breaks down one of the games here, Space Duel, and it gives you a flow chart of how the game works and stuff like that. And
what line numbers do what? It looks like there.
What line numbers do what? Yeah. And then
see, Nick, you should be doing that. Then you could find your bugs faster.
Yeah, I reckon.
So it's got nice full color stuff and explanations of the games and stuff.
Oh, that actually would be pretty good. I remember seeing them on the shelves, but I was kind of past basic programming, starting to get ML when those came out, so I didn't really pay much attention to them.
For $6,
a little section of how to design your own game.
But one thing about it, Curtis, whether you're doing machine language or basic, program structure and flow is always important. You could take the basic flow and then do the machine language.
Yeah, but I didn't think that back as a kid. I was going, that's basic. That's beneath me. I already know basic.
And they were good for 16K computers.
Yeah. By the way, Micah's wife on the chat saying the other one's called Thrilling Games.
Thrilling Games? Okay.
No, that 16K is how much the book costs now.
Yeah.
Yeah, on eBay. Okay, back to sharing.
I like your sound effects.
Yeah. It's better than me screaming. Okay, then we've also gotten, you'll see this scattered throughout the news, the very end of September was just finishing off since we last were on the air, so you'll see a few of those. So this is the second set of games that Retro Gaming Nook did on his YouTube channel. He actually did over 3/4 of an hour here. And the two games he played are Greg Zumwalt's GFL Championship Football 2, which he played the most. And I have a question for the panel on this one. Well, we'll get back to that in a second. The second one he was playing was Rad Warrior. Now, Rad Warrior, I believe we have done on the Game On Challenge, and it's a fiendishly difficult game, whether you pick joystick or keyboard. I did win it back in like 89 or something like that, because I remember the whole swirling effect when it implodes the reactor at the very end. And I'm almost positive Buck Owens actually did do that and recorded it, but I took a look at his Twitch channel, and unfortunately Twitch likes to delete things after a short period of time, so maybe he did have it there and it's just gone now. But I thought he had actually finished it too and actually recorded it, because I was going to try to send the link to the guy here, because he was really wondering, because he got far enough, he actually got his suit lit up and he got the firepower working and he could fly, but he didn't get up to the upper levels where you could worry about radiation and all that kind of stuff. And he found it incredibly frustrating, and he was going to try some of the alternative versions, because this is also known as the anti-rad, I think, on like the Specky and the C64 and a few others, so it's been under a few different names. He did really like the graphics, and I have to agree, it's actually, for a 160 by 192 16-color game, it's actually one of the best ones I've seen. Like, the graphics on it are quite nice. So I'll play a little clip of it a little bit later here, but I wanted to ask on GFL Football 2. So he's playing it on real hardware, and he's got it on an actual TV or composite monitor. It does not have RGB. The game defaults to RGB. So basically, instead of getting nice grays and stuff, he's getting like electric pinks and magentas. But there's nothing in the manual about changing the monitor type. So is this a game that was hard-coded for RGB only, which is surprising to me? I did try to go through it briefly with the MAME debugger. There is a memory location. I think it's direct page 26. That it does check, and it actually has two alternative palettes to do. But I have not had time, since I did that early on in the week, to see if there's a key press or something you're supposed to do to enable that. Because I could find no key. Like, I just hitting random keys all the way across the keyboard. I could not get it to change color. Has anybody in the panel ever tried this game and maybe knows, or in the chat for that matter, maybe knows of a way to actually get it to come up in composite? I just find it really odd that it doesn't even have the option. And it's not in the manual. There's no mention.
I'm a little dumb when it comes to this looking into the program and stuff. Can't you actually go to the end of the program and have it display what it shows at the end by going through the code like you just did to see how it selects video?
No.
Why?
You were right the first time.
Yeah. You don't know, shut up. It's a rabbit hole. Goodbye.
Well, the thing is, like I said, I actually ran MAME and I just told it when you're writing to the palette registers, set that as a write point. So I found it, there's two places. Actually, when it does a little title screen, it's a 4-color mode 320. And it does black, dark blue, white, and I think green or something. As a picture of the guy throwing the football, which actually I probably could find.
So do you think AI could do that down the road?
I have no idea.
He got some real good breaks with the passing and stuff and some defense. And
so you can see the colors. Now he did, like, this is why I'm wondering if maybe he didn't plan on it having composite, because there's a few colors that are common between composite and RGB. Black's one, white's one of the blues, and one of the greens. And then everything else is pretty well different. And you'll notice on the screen here, there's the greens for the grass and also the greens on the field on the right, top view. And then you got the blue for the sky and of course, black and white for, drawing the letters and stuff like that. So did he design it so that some of the colors would be okay, but then instead of getting a nice, gray scale on the bottom where it says quarter, down, time, clock, and all that kind of stuff, and he just let it go as magenta, like he filled the cartridge so much he had no room for extra 16 palettes and a key check? But like I said, I was taking a look when I did the right intercept in MAME. It does seem to be checking a memory location, and then it has two alternate palettes that are like 20 bytes apart from each other. So I'm kind of curious, like maybe there is a way to do it. Maybe it's a multi-key press that you have to do, which I just didn't randomly do properly to try. But I've gone through the manual. It's a pretty big manual. I forgot how big it is. It's probably out of all the CoCo cartridge games, it's probably the biggest manual for any of them. It's like 40 pages or something like that. But because it looks much better if you look at it on RGB. But there's got to be a way to do it composite. I can't see Tandy selling a game that does not work on anything but RGB, especially when it's 160 by 192.
Yeah.
Just checking in the chat to see if anybody has mentioned anything.
I mean, it may be like a lot of people. I only got this game because I had a CoCo 3 and a CM8 and I needed content.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one he comments on this during the gameplay video itself too, but I did the same thing when I did play it. You get this kind of 3D view. I'll just lower his volume here so we can kind of play it without me talk over it anyway. The 3D view over here it's innovative and looks nice. The fact he's trying.
This window that shows like
and you can spin around and turn sideways and stuff like that. You can see the the football scaling and the player's scale. But you can't play using that because you can't really see enough to see what you're doing. So everybody pretty well plays using the dots on the right. And I guess if you have fans watching you live, they'll watch the 3D version.
I wonder if this is like the old golf game that I wrote where the actual game runs in the overhead view that you can see as far as collision detection and so forth. It's all in that screen. You're actually playing the game in that rightmost screen, and the thing on the left is just eye candy.
Yeah, that's pretty well what I did too. I don't know anybody that's played this that uses this for the actual play.
Because it saves so much RAM to use the screen as the data grid as well. That anyway.
Yeah. But I'm a bit intrigued. Like I said, maybe when I get some more time, which won't be for a while yet. It does look like there is support for doing it, but I don't know how to turn it on. Or if he ran out of room and just hard coded it, and that one byte is still being read, but it's always initialized the same thing no matter what. I don't know.
All these guys are cross-eyed. Did you see that?
And they're all blue. They've been holding the breath too long, which is why you need to get it in our composite proper color set. Trina's asking, why are the players skin blue? This is that RGB versus composite issue. To maintain backwards compatibility with the CoCo 1 and 2, especially its artifact colors, they devised how the colors are done in composite. Basically, you have 16 different colors, and then you have intensities of each, where it adds more white to the color. Basically, it kind of whitens it out. But RGB is done through red, green, and blue, and it's done completely differently. So this is something they actually had working properly on the PAL machines, and Nick can attest to this, is the fact that the RGB and composite was the same, but not here. And I think that was because they had to support the composite artifacting stuff. Because when you hold down the F1 key to shift your red and blue in opposite directions, it actually shifts the entire set of colors. I can't remember how many slots, 8 slots over or something like that. And that's the only way I think they can get composite working properly to do artifact colors. So it was kind of to maintain backwards compatibility with NTSC colors that it was done that way. But yeah, the color sets are totally different, except for a couple of colors, like I mentioned earlier. But RGB, if you have an RGB monitor and the game's programmed for RGB, it looks way the heck better. Mark says because they're Smurfs. That's why they're blue. Anyway, it's a mystery to me. I went through the manual. He went through the manual. There's nothing in there that tells you how to pause the game and stuff, but nothing about it switching the monitor type. There does seem to be code that looks like it should be changing it, but I don't know how to activate that code, how to change that memory location so it knows what to do. And I, even using the MAME debugger, if that doesn't get written to except for initialization, I don't know how I'd figure it out. I have to assemble the whole 16K ROM, which I really do want to do because it's not one of my favorite games. And that one we have not played on the challenge. I don't know if we want to try that one at some point, Ken, but. And then there's Rad Warrior, which looks visually really nice, but is frustrating. The controls aren't the greatest. But he did get fairly far here. He's got his suit activated and he's flying. You can fire. One thing he found confusing that I think a lot of people do when they first play is that some of the background here you cannot pass over and some you can. And there's not really a huge visual cue as to which is which. Like, for example, here you can fly over top these background things, but you can't fly through the pot here. You have to go over it. Or maybe not that particular pot, but there's some stuff you can't literally fly past.
Yeah, I can
but
see
yeah,
there's no visual indication.
But
there's no visual indication as to which you can fly past and which you can't.
Yeah. Yeah, you just kind of have to learn as you go along. And it's a pretty big map and roughly sort of pyramid shape, not quite. There's a bit of an expansion. I think the second row on the bottom as to how wide, I think it's 15, 16 screens wide, and then it starts to narrow as you go up higher and higher, and it also gets into higher radiation levels, and then you have to start dealing with, certain things your suit can't get through, and you have to like jump out as a human being, run as fast as you can, pick up the object, get back in before you fry from radiation. Then the suit kind of heals up your radiation, then you keep going until you can plant the bomb and implode the whole alien stronghold. It's a really neat effect. I remember I was quite impressed with it when I first saw it. And I didn't see if Buck was in the chat still to mention if he still had the video, because I'm pretty sure it was him that actually had won it and recorded the actual implosion, because most people honestly have never seen him. It's not easy. And I've tried doing it, in the last 10 years, and I can't. I don't have the skills anymore. But anyway, it's a really good video if you want to go through the games. This is the last of the cartridges he actually physically has for his CoCo 3. And he's playing it on real hardware on a real TV. And he goes through these 2 CoCo 3 specific games. And that was the last of his Septandy videos for this year. We'll go check those out. As far as Dragon and CoCo games on Chronological Gaming this week, just the one to show. This is a game that was originally on the CoCo called Viking. And Prickly Pear Software later ported it to other platforms like the VIC-20 and the C64 and some others. But once again, I just wanted to show it off here because the packaging is the main thing. The Dragon packaging was quite good. As you can see here, they have a nice big Viking and a boat with an axe and then the whole bit. And I think the CoCo one was like a Xerox sheet with red paper of a hand-drawn ship or something like that, if I remember. Much more simple. Nice little strategy game. It was one of the first ones of this ilk that the CoCo had, and one of the first ones that Prickly Pear did. They later did a 32K enhanced, much enhanced one called Erland, and then I think there's Castle Grey Moon was a single-player version that Computer Shack / Mitchtron did. There's probably a few others I'm not remembering. They also did stuff like Gangbusters and a few others that are a bit more flavored for modernists. But this was a fun game. I remember playing this against a few of my friends back in the day, if you're into that kind of thing. It's kind of like a very early SimCity almost type thing, where you're competing against other players to try to grow your kingdom. This next one here, Iain Lee, and it's a pretty big YouTuber at 15,000 subscribers. And he did what he called the chilled retro stream. So he played a Dragon 32 game that he played as a kid. He also played some stuff with C64 and Micro Live, BBC Micro, I'm presuming that means. The one game he decided to pick on the Dragon, and he really hammers the Dragon at the beginning. He said it was awful computer, terrible computer, all this kind of stuff. But he said he had one when he was a kid, the first one he ever used, and he really liked the game Alcatraz 2 by Mike Huey, Spectral Associates. And that wouldn't be one of my favorite games. It's the concept is good, but it's pretty dog slow. And it always was dog slow. And Mike was just learning. I mean, Mike's the same guy who later learned machine language and programmed classics like Grabber and Draconian. So he definitely, got better. But this is an early, extended basic attempt at it. I'm sure you guys have seen this before. I don't know if it's worth putting the challenge because it's pretty hard to even get a score.
And I think that might be the same for Elite on the BBC.
But basically, you're the green guy, and you've got to maneuver these guards by luring them, and the yellow ones, and they'll unlock the doors for you.
Will fire.
So you go around a corner after you lure them, and they cross over a door, and it disappears, and your object is to get into the next block of cells until you can escape. And you can see the escapes on the far right. But you also have these little timed laser shots that come through and just blast a vertical line straight down. I can't remember if you can do horizontal as well, but basically if you're standing in the way when that goes off, you're dead. And of course you can get trapped. You can't unlock the doors, so that one guard's going to come by and he got lucky there. But basically they'll kind of follow you and then they'll just kill you.
Lasers coming.
There's the lasers. Now he's dead. It's trapped.
Done that weird thing.
If it ran a better clip, this actually I don't think would be a bad game.
Why does it do that? What have I been using an audio program? Anyway.
And to be honest, it's a low enough res. I think it's a P mode 1, if I remember. So Jim Gary, if there's another one you want to convert over, I think it only took 16K if you skip all the directions and stuff that are built in the program on the CoCo version, because I think it takes 32K just facts. It's got like 10 screens of directions. You can just make them separately. But this is one that I think he's using Traw's using get put for the shapes. But if he's using get put, if you change the shape slightly in size, you make it an even byte boundary, this could run a lot faster. So one of my bazillion projects I always talk about, I'd like to try, I'm never going to get to. That's one of them. Oh, and I guess Buck Owens is saying, Rad Warrior, definitely not me. That type of game I'd probably play once and submit my score. I know somebody did, though, because it was the CoCo version. Somebody did win it and actually had it. I can't remember. Maybe it was one of the other... Ken, who's the best game players over around? There's about 3 of them, right? Buck being one. I can hear the silent snoring from here.
Ken's not here.
I think it's Tasman, Dr. Ted, and Buck, I think, are the main ones. I think one of them maybe might have. Sixxie says, I really did not like Alcatraz 2. I have to agree, it's way too slow. Concept's good, but way too slow. And then lastly, Nick, have I bought you enough time to release a proper 1.1, or are you still working on it?
I think I might have a working copy, but is Brian still here?
I don't know.
No, he had to go.
All right.
You can send it to Buck directly because he was having the same problem.
Yeah, I might do that. So in a couple of minutes, I'll send it to him.
Okay.
Ooh, Bugs Owens on the case.
So later, when Nick has this properly fixed and tested here, his website, which you'll see in our show notes that you can pick up off the Discord, of course, like every week, he'll have the version 1.1. And here's basically what has been added to it. So I'll just read this out loud for the audio listeners, because by the time you get the actual podcast version of this, the new version should be out and fixed and ready to go. So to quote Nick, he says, I have done an update to Hero to version 1.1. This includes a few irregularities fixed, okay, bugs, and a small speed up that switches the 639 CPU, if installed, into native mode. This had to be done by adding a small ML subroutine that could be called. This offered a small speed increase, and from my testing, between 10 to 15%. in the execution of BASIC on any CoCo that 639 CPU installed. The problem with it, though, is that BASIC will hang if it tries to do any disk I/O or play any sound using the player sound commands. I therefore need to turn 639 native mode off before executing such commands. And so basically, he slows it down for disk, like when you're loading the next level map, or you know, if you're doing any sound effects. Now, the one nice thing about that is that the audio, if you notice playing it between a CoCo 1 and a CoCo 3 with the first version, is that the pitch changes because, of course, you're running double speed, so the pitch goes up. This way, actually, the sound will be consistent between the different versions. I play at the regular lower tone, which is, I think, Nick, you said that was what you preferred and would have wished in the first place, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. So, but in the meantime, he's only slowing it down to play the sound. Nothing else is happening while the sound's playing, so it's not going to slow the game down itself. You're moving around and running and shooting and stuff all should get, you know, a bit of a speed up. And even on a CoCo 3, you will get another 10% on top of the double speed. So play a little bit faster, a little bit smoother. It plays quite nicely on the Gimme X at double speed or triple speed and the native mode. I did try that earlier. Anyway, should be available hopefully by the end of the show because we got lots of news. I can be giving Nick lots of time.
I'm missing out on my sleep here, you know.
Yeah, it's overrated anyway, right?
Well, I've got it running under VCC in 6809 mode, no problem. I'm going to just try XRAW on a XT as well.
Yeah. Mikey in the chat is saying too, he said he can reproduce the Hero issue in XRAW with -machine -CPU 609. So he's another guy you might be able to send to test. Along with Buck if you want to get a couple people tried out.
All right.
And Tom Eric Gunnarsson, who's actually from the home of the Norse, says, finally, a game about us Vikings. Referring to the chronologically gaming. Okay, well, now I've got regular news, and there's a lot of it. So, Mark, did you want to do a commercial first, or do you want me to just plow right into it?
No, just plow right into it.
You asked for it. We're going to be here a while.
And away we go.
Okay.
Another commercial means I got to get up.
Or wake up even. Okay, so first off, this is a show that was happening. It started up actually during the middle of our show last week, and that's the International Computer Club put on by the Amigos, hosted by Aaron. And this has a bunch of different people that come on with a bunch of different retro topics for a bunch of different platforms or just general retro stuff that isn't platform specific at all. And I joined in late because I was busy with our show. I can't remember if he had. Yeah, he's got a list of the ones here, and I'll just read them out for you. There's a bit of a pre-show, introductions, who's on the panel, which had to keep getting updated as people joined. And Evan talked about his Mac Classic mini machine. Pajako 6502 demonstrated loading real cartridges onto the Mister. There's a little adapter that actually can like load in like Nintendos and stuff. I thought that was kind of cool. I never even heard of that before. Adam showed slides from the recent Southeast Michigan Vintage Computer Club meetup because they just had their Computer Club meetup, and he's showing some pictures from that. Happy Coding ZX, I'll say it properly for his native tongue, who was originally from England, but I think he lives in one of the Stan countries now in Europe. Can't remember which one off the top of my head, but he's a Spectrum programmer. And he talks about Frankenstein and Dr. Acula and Scramble RX. So Frankenstein, Dr. Acula is a game they were fixing up that was already previously done. And then he's doing a really, really good version of Scramble, which looks pretty close to the arcade, actually, on the Spectrum. Pretty impressive. That one's still under development, but he kind of demoed it off. Pixels at Dawn showed off some new acquisitions that talks about upcoming travel to various computer shows that he's attending. Of course, he's one of the editors that we had on for Pixel Addict magazine. If you remember, we had that special Tandy issue, the history of Tandy. Jason Warrens, who has recently finished his move and actually brought his CoCo out, and actually on the show here, he actually live recapped his CoCo 3 because he actually did find a couple that were bad because they've been in storage for decades. And he was doing it in a little corner window. You can actually watch him doing that. And then by the time it came around to him, he was done and it was up and running and he was playing Lava Hero. So that worked out well. And then I came on to talk about the semi-graphic stuff and Demo Hero a little bit. Graham from Australia came on and discussed his new travel router, PC Engine book, and antique watches, because him and a boat and a few others are into that kind of thing. David Z talked new pickups and presentation of C64 drive alternatives. And then they kind of went around the table, or links and stuff here. So I was going to play a little bit of what Jason got his CoCo going.
Too short.
Yeah, it's a fun game, and it's actually got one more week on the Game On Challenge, because now we're doing these 2-week stretches where we have, you get a new game every week, but you get to play it for 2 weeks to count towards the score.
Yeah,
it's very speedy.
Yeah. It's super addictive too, and it's super easy. It's literally a 1-button game. So you just press one button.
No nothing. It's just
so this is in the vein of like a Flappy Bird or the Timber or one of those where it's just like a very
like Timberman or Ghost Rush or something. It's by the same guy that did Ghost Rush, so it kind of makes
sense.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one I couldn't think of. I played way more Ghost Rush than I.
I'm just going to go back a little bit here to see if I can find when Jason was actually. Yeah, here he is. He took the motherboard out and he was actually going through and recapping it using one of the Retro Rewind cap kits. And like I said, he actually went through it and found there was a few in his particular CoCo 3's case that actually were problematic. But he's actually got a C-Mate with a door. I'm kind of jealous. Yeah, it's a good fun show. And they're actually, because the viewership on the ICC shows, which Aaron always jokes he never wants to do again because it's such a long show and he has to try to herd cats to get it to run properly. But their viewership of this particular show, which is just one of their many shows, actually was going up quite a bit lately. So he's kind of committed. He has to do it now. So I'm hoping they do them a bit more often, because they've only been doing like 3-4 times a year at this point. And hopefully they make it more consistently, at least quarterly, maybe bi-monthly or something. I think there's definitely enough interest. And there's definitely enough subject matter, because it's basically anything having to do with retro at all. It can be books, software, dolls based on a video game, arcade, home console, how different countries did things, all kinds of things. So it's always a really interesting time. I will show a little bit just because our best scramble clone, I think, is probably Whirlybird Run. That'd be my favorite. Some people might prefer Chopper Strike or Scramble from Tom Mix. But I want to show the one that Happy Coding is doing here, because it's actually quite impressive.
You start off things like this thinking that it's all about get to
that's
physical
the
copies.
That's a different one.
And meet lines they cross, because that dramatically reduces the.
He actually goes through the programming tricks that he did to get it to run smooth on a
and
on a
some
Specky.
of them are being drawn level. If you miss, then you get another chance. Like if I hit it there, it will go to this point here, and then it restarts, and then you play the whole game through again with few.
Yeah, he's having a bit of connection problems from wherever in mainland Europe he was.
So, and I think after you've been through like 4 times, it's impossible to finish.
He's actually got like the splash screens and the high score screens and stuff too.
So it has a kind of kill.
And he's got a little flash the border red if it detects collision, because this is a work in progress. And I know Nick, you use the border for testing stuff too.
Screen. Not a bug of a kill screen, but a fact that you just get to a certain point and you run out of.
Anyway, it's a new project that he just started. He actually completed a Spectrum Pac-Man that was quite good recently. He's done Lunar Rescue, and a few other arcade ports that have been probably the best the Spectrum's ever seen. Kind of like, some of our transcodes have looked as close to the arcade as you can possibly get in a Spectrum. Anyway, a lot of fun. I don't know. Did any of you guys get a chance to catch the ICC show? Either after the fact or maybe joining it late like I did? No? Oh, geez, you guys, you got to start catching up. Or maybe you were too busy watching all the Tandy Assembly live streams, because those were going on last weekend too. And they actually basically live stream most of the show, most of the presentation stuff, which is really nice because, obviously a lot of us couldn't make it. The first one I've got queued up here is Rick Adams did CoCo War Stories, which is kind of covering some history we've heard from Rick. He's talked about a CoCo Fest and on the show, etc. too. How Temple of Rom's directions got completely rewritten from scratch. Some of the details of working with Dale Lear and Jim Isel, who did a lot of Rainbow reviews and stuff here too. So it's a really interesting chat, and you can check it out on the Tandy Assembly YouTube page, and they've got all the presentations. So if you have interest in like Model 16s and Model 3s and modern emulator stuff and all kinds of stuff, there's a whole bunch. John Strong had a presentation I mentioned last week. going through some CoCo projects on the hardware side of things, and basically, what kind of hardware you have to fiddle with if you want to create a hardware project. So there's a fair bit of CoCo content in there as well. So definitely go check that out. And the other one I want to mention here is the 2024 Tandy Assembly Trivia Contest, hosted by Nick's fellow Aussie, Ian Maverick, who also makes hardware for all the platforms, including the CoCo. And he's the guy on the right there. And Nick, I was going to ask you, is this proper attire for an Aussie?
And I'm looking at it now.
He's got one of Ken's shirts by the looks of it.
Hang on, where is he?
On the right, right behind the courtyard.
On the podium.
Yeah.
Well, you don't really see people wearing the hat that often. It's a traditional thing, yes. And I don't know about the Hawaiian T-shirt. I think that's a bit more.
Yeah, I think he's been watching too many Canadian retro thing videos or something.
Yeah.
Trying to fit in.
But is he in thongs?
Well, that's a thing. That's right. If he's Australian, he'll be wearing thongs.
Yeah, and which kind of thongs, just to make sure he's Australian.
Yeah. Feet, not the ones on the
Anyway, this is a tradition they've had for a few years now, where they basically pick some people. Now, they did do a few changes this year, as Ian mentioned, and he's the one who kind of organizes the trivia contest. Actually, helps organize the whole show, for that matter. But you'll see Neil Blanchard from the CoCo Cruise on the far right, one of the three, and then Steve Leninger, who actually created the Tier C Model 1's the one on the far left, and he participated as well. But one thing he did is he picked some categories of questions that were tailored for each of the people that were actually participating. Like he had a set of CoCo stuff there specifically Neil, which ironically Neil did not win. And then the guy in the middle, I'm trying to remember his name, and I forgot to write it down on my notes. But he was the one who was getting most of the CoCo questions right. He was really good at it. And then Steve, I think he once or twice here, he actually contradicted the answer that Ian had, because of course he was there and actually was involved with all this stuff getting set up. So he knew some of the behind the scenes stuff that of course nobody else knew. And of course he did the keynote that we mentioned last week. If you want, background history on himself and, working with Tandy and getting the Tier C Model 1 and then working on some of the other Tier Cities a little bit later on, more as a consultant than as an employee. But this was a lot of fun. And we've had trivia contests at CoCo Fest before. I know I participated in one of them as well. And they're a lot of fun. And one thing that Ian's been trying to do the last couple of years, and further so did this year, is getting the audience involved. So there's special sets of questions that the three panelists fill out on paper, but everybody in the audience has to fill in too. And then you find out, how did you do, matching up against the three participants in the front there for certain questions. So basically, it's nice having the audience involved as active players in the game as well. Next up, anachronistic things. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. Probably not. Did a video for 26 minutes on FujiNet on the color computer as part of his Septandy. Now, unfortunately, as he notes in the show notes, and then when you watch it, his CoCo 2 died near the end, so he's doing a follow-up video that he's planning on doing to fix the CoCo, and I'm not sure what exactly happened, because it was running fine at the beginning. I'll show you a little clip of it actually working.
I was happy because it's one of the ones that I built.
All right, we're ready to turn it on the first time. And go straight in the FujiNet config.
Yeah, so it says loading FujiNet config, connecting to network.
Setup is very simple. You just pick your wireless network and then enter your password. This particular model of the microcontroller only selects 2 gigahertz networks, but that's perfectly fine for a color computer too.
I was going to ask you, Henry, since you're much more familiar with FujiNet than I, is that a limitation of the chip, the ESP chip they're using, or is that?
I'm guessing so, because it would strike me that would. I mean, the Wi-Fi subsystem is something that's on the device itself. Mm-hmm. I've not played with the ESP32 to know for sure whether it's a limitation of the ESP32 or the software. I've got a sneaking it's the radio on the ESP32.
Okay. And Rick Gillen's the only other guy I could ask who might know that kind of thing. So Rick, do you know?
Well, no, because this isn't anything to do with CoCo, and I don't know anything about ESP32, so that limitation is entirely out of my knowledge.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it doesn't sound like it'll work with the more modern, higher frequency networks, at least at this point. But that's something that might change in the future. And he demonstrates downloading and playing stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
Real quick on that. So just looking this up real quick ago, there's a Reddit thread on why do ESP chips not support 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi? And one of the responses is that 5 gigahertz isn't as well suited for IoT applications because of the limited range, and having a bunch of narrowband devices on 5 gig would slow down people's network performance.
Lots of work for not much good.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Sounds like Hero.
You're right. So yeah, he demonstrates it, getting on the network and then showing directories of files across the network. And I think he was actually using Tom Cherryholm's main server, so it's not even the same city that he was pulling stuff off of. And of course, you can host stuff locally too if you want to as well. I think he actually had downloaded Indie Feudal Game and is playing it. Aerial Attack as a bit of a test. So I don't know what happened to blew up his computer near the end here. But
an electrolytic failed, it looked like.
Oh, okay.
Demo gods have spoken.
Yeah, capacitor shorting plus 5 ground.
We're going to play that a little bit of that there. Okay, so he sounds like he actually is pretty sure that's the problem.
the big burn thing was probably it.
That can thing behind the capacitor looks pretty dirty. So he's planning on doing a follow-up video to fix it back up again. So next up, this came as a bit of a surprise, but George Jansen actually popped in another episode of his Color Computer 3 machine language programming series. And this is part 1 of, I believe, a 2-part for lesson 14, which will be the concept of using 512K. So this first episode, and he warns you right up front, this will probably be a bit confusing for some people. It's getting into MMU blocks, task registers and stuff here. Basically, how do you write a game that takes advantage of 512K or higher for that matter, technically, rather than just the 128. So he's going through a lot of the concept stuff here, and he will be doing a second episode, which is more into the actual, programming, and he'll be releasing a disk image with the actual programming in there too. And he goes through some examples that he used in some of his utilities. Now, we've shown in some of his utilities before. So he has support that you can call with USR or exec calls from BASIC, where you can actually do like pop-up windows and menus and stuff like that on an 80-column hardware text screen. So here's an example here too, and I'll just play a little clip of it here.
In and out functions. So it's common stuff for coding if you're coding in a lot of text stuff. So I'm going to hit 2 for the string functions. Okay, and I don't know who selected these colors, but I think it was me. But anyway, I think it was during the test. I kept trying different colors during my test and never changed them. So there's the help text I have for various string functions. If you're coded in C or Java, you probably are very well familiar with these terms anyway. So I'm going to look at one string length. That's the easiest one, and it's the first one in there. And there's the help for it. String length. Count characters in a string that's in register X. So we've got to point it to register X. Hope I got a phone call. I can hurry up.
All right. So he's demonstrating like the actual subroutines that he's using, and he actually uses some of the MMU blocks outside of what BASIC normally uses itself for his pop-ups and the text that's actually in the pop-ups that brings up. And then he's showing, some of the function stuff and help that he built into this little utility he made. So he's kind of showing like the practical part of it as well. So this is, like I said, the first part of this lesson is basically the concepts and some examples of it running, and the next one will be the actual programming behind it. But it'll teach you how to like map in MMU blocks and how to kind of reserve them and make sure you're not stepping on BASIC or BASIC's going to step on you. Because I know some people have actually done that mistake where they've, mapped in an MMU block for their own purposes, forgetting that an HGet or HPut buffer uses that block all the time. So as soon as you go into graphics mode and do an HPut, your program's fried, or it's doing unexpected things at any rate. So he's kind of be going through that as far as you do it from BASIC. It's a lot easier in NitrOS9 because you just allocate blocks. You tell the system, go get me 8 free 8K blocks, and it does it for you. It keeps track of what's used and what's not. Well, I look forward to the second part. He's hoping to have that out, I think, within the next week or two. Next up, EJ Jack Quay has actually got a pre-release version of VCC 2.1.9.1 Pre-2, which is a pre-release for what is going to become 2.1.9.2 on his GitHub. Now, part of this was instigated by Wayne Campbell, who I believe still in the chat, finding a bit of a bug with some of the paste functions. There's certain characters that don't get pasted across because you're allowed to take text from, say, a text editor you're running on your local environment, whether it's Linux or OS 10 or Windows, and then you can paste it right into the VCC window, and it'll type in the code as if you're just typing it at the basic prompt. But there were some problems with, I think it was the backslash or something actually is not coming across at all correctly. So I think that was one of the things that's fixed here. Yeah, fix backslash paste from text. I can see on the README. He's also got gimme timer enhancements to improve game sounds, which I think, Nick, you've encountered a few times where it's a little bit off. So hopefully that'll help. Yeah. Minor tweak to the special character Greek beta to match the real CoCo 3. So one of the gimme ROM hardware text images is a little bit off from the real thing. So he's fixed that up so it'll actually match. And I know that Karen recently went through this with X, where he changed some of the VDG ones because they were a little bit off too. Mind you, there's also different versions of the VDG, so you have to kind of guess which one you're using. And he has a means to disable the disassembler tracking when the CPU is paused. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'm assuming it's part of its debugger functionality. Anyway, if you want to try Bleeding Edge, this is not the official release yet. Could contain bugs. You can do that, and you can actually send him comments stuff. He's actually active on our Discord, so if you have some comments you tried and you find any bugs or this feature really works well, let him know, and that'll help get it out faster as an official release. Next up, and I think this is the last Septandi video from CoCo Town, and his Septandi videos are basically taking a break from his Moon Patrol project. So this is where he's fiddling with another debugger that MAME supports, which is a fair bit more complicated to set up. It basically doesn't come pre-compiled, so you have to compile it yourself. You need some certain libraries for it to function. So he goes through the whole installation process, including some of the mistakes, trying to get it to work. And when he gets to the very end of it, it doesn't look like it adds that much functionality that's not in the main debugger. Like some of the main things he wanted fixed, I think one of them actually did get fixed if you use this debugger, but some of the other stuff he was really hoping for did not. But I'll play a little bit of the intro because, of course, it's always humorous when he does his stuff. So, and then you can check the rest of the video yourself.
Hello and welcome. I am the ghost of Septandi present, here to show you the now. Unless you're watching this in the future, in which case I am the ghost of Septandi past, here to show you the past. Anyway, the point is, I'm a ghost, and today we're visiting the Beyond section of Bed Bath & Beyond to ask an existential question. Is there a CoCo MAME debugging experience I am not having? Is there a built-in debugger to MAME that is unseen but still real? What's got two thumbs and is super deep? This.
I always love his intros.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, it's a debugger I had not heard of before. I didn't even know it existed either. I was going to ask, this one's actually called QT. Has any of the other people here on the panel or in the chat, for that matter, that is really delved into the MAME innards and stuff here, have any of you actually used this other alternative debugger? I'll have to wait for the chat, of course, to catch up a little bit. Nobody in the panel, though, it sounds like. Okay, well, I'll keep an eye on the chat. And in the meantime, I will go on to the next story, but we'll see if anybody's actually used it. It was not one I had heard of.
Pause there between news items.
Yep.
I've just uploaded the supposed fixed version. So if anyone's out there, if they go to my website, download Hero and try it. It works in VCC, in 6809 and 6309. It works on a real CoCo 3 with the 6309. I just don't have a CoCo 1 or 2 with, well, I don't have a CoCo 1 and 2. And basically, if you have a CoCo 1 and 2 with the 6309, it would be good to test. And if you have a gimme chip as well, if you can test it.
Gimme chip or gimme X?
Hey,
You mean a Gimme X?
a Gimme X. Sorry, yeah,
Oh,
Gimme.
Mm-hmm.
So
I do it, but I'm kind of busy at the moment.
No, that's all right. I just got a message from Buck Owens. He just said XRAW under XRAW, CoCo 2 is fine, CoCo 1 is fine. So this could be the final fix.
Ooh, we got an hour to shoot it down before the end of the show, right?
Well, that's right. Yeah, you still got time. You still got time.
So if you don't mind me asking, what was the bug? What did you do wrong?
The only thing I changed really was the order in which I slow the CoCo down. I haven't got the listing in front of me, but I think I went down to the high clock speed. I went down to the slow, and then to the. It's weird. I mean, I'm going so fast here. I'm losing track of what I'm doing, but that was the only thing I changed. Oh, and possibly no, there was another thing. Before I was changing the clock speed first and then turning off 6309 mode. I did swap that around. I actually turned 6309 mode off and then drop the clock speed. And that's all I've changed. Anyway, it's working. So maybe there is an order in which you have to do things.
Right.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
the
Yeah, I
orders
wouldn't have
in
thought so.
the orders in the code you don't control. You aren't right.
That's all I've changed. So I actually changed when I'm slowing it down. I'm turning off 6309 first, and then dropping
Then
the clock.
clocking the CPU down after, rather than the other way around.
That's the only real thing I've changed. And anyway, it seems to be working. We'll see if people can try it before the show.
So
ends.
what platforms besides the Gimme X? What platforms do you need it tested on still? CoCo 1 and 2, 639 is the one?
On a real CoCo 1 and 2, 6809 and 6309, and on a real Gimme X, CoCo 3.
Okay. I can definitely, after the show's over, do a quick test of the 639 Gimme X.
Yeah. No, hopefully it'll all work, and that's it. I can go on a holiday.
Ron, you don't happen to have a CoCo 1 or 2 set up nearby that you could quickly download and try it on?
I do, but I'm not going to.
Well, you're no damn help.
Yeah, no. I ain't gonna do it. I got stuff going on. I'm listening, but I got stuff going on. Bye.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just figured if anybody's got all those different models, it'd be you that's on the panel. Brian would normally, but he's not here. Okay, next up, post from me, and this is on behalf of myself and Wayne Campbell both. We were trying to rush out for Septandy before the end of Monday when Septandy was ending, getting a sneak preview version of the new Basic 09 manual for NitrOS9 Lvl2. So this will cover changes, corrections, and additions to the Basic 09 manual. The first preview version we have is chapters 1 through 9. Which the main part of that we wanted to get out was the stuff that covered the graphics commands, both the level 1 graphics commands, because there's some changes and additions in there, and then also the level 2 graphics commands, which there's quite a few changes and additions in there, mainly to support multi-view and a few other things. And we managed to get it out that evening, and you can download it from the Facebook group. We also posted the Discord. I haven't put it on my website yet because I didn't get my websites up and running until after this. And Wayne has continued working on it. He's actually got chapter 10, which is kind of a quick reference guide of all the different keywords in the various modes. That part's done. He started on chapter 11. That's the big one of every single command. We have, surprisingly enough, been finding out some of the sample programs actually don't work as advertised. There's a few others, too, that make presumptions that you've got a certain screen and stuff already set up. And if you're a newbie to Basic 09, you won't know that. So you'll run it and you'll get some weird errors, like a legal window definition or something like that. So he's been... Well, both of us have been going in and kind of fixing those up and adding in the extra code to force it to a certain graphics mode so that it will run properly no matter what screen type you're on when you run it. But if you want to grab it, you can definitely do so. I got a quick little Or maybe I don't. Oh, there we are. So here's an example from chapter 9, displaying text and graphics and going through windowing functions. And one thing that Wayne actually proposed and I agreed with is the original manual basically just lists all the graphic stuff alphabetically. So it mixes text commands with graphics commands with Windows commands. And of course, we're adding multi-view stuff. So he decided to subdivide them into chunks of areas and then, present them in that order. So it's alphabetical order basically within the subtext of what you're talking about. So like here, for example, we're showing on screen is the window function. So this doesn't have all the text functions and a bunch of other things. So if you're trying to figure out how to do something, I think it'll make it much easier for you to look it up. I mean, if you're looking it up as a reference, what's the parameters for this command? You know what the command is. You can just do a search. It's a PDF. But on the other hand, if you're trying to just learn how to do this stuff and you have no idea of what command to look for, that's not all that terribly useful, the fact that it's alphabetical. So in this case here, we've got, window functions, graphic functions, text functions, etc. And like window functions, we've got like change working area, device window end, device window protect switch, device window set. These are all ones that existed in the original manual. Now you've got some of the multi-view stuff like get menu selection, get cell, menu to set the actual menus themselves, items, to do the pull down items, etc. So it's kind of organized by what you actually need to do. And it'll do the section here on window functions, list the commands, and then there'll be an alphabetical order from there of the actual functions with sample programs that actually do something properly to show and will not error out if you're on the wrong type of window, etc. A few of them, though, have references to see other thing. And if it's very simple, like this one here, device window protect switch, it's kind of hard to do a sample program without writing something huge as to why you'd want to do this. So that one would just give you the syntax, which kind of follows the original manual. But if you continue on, like here's a fairly decent size. This is one of the new commands, get cell for getting the menu selection or key press for multi-view menus, which I'm sure Rick is familiar with. But it's an actual complete program that actually does something a little bit useful. It's not just a demo of uselessness. It actually is a basis of a program that actually does something. And of course, you can feel free to add to these as you want. And then once all the the windowing functions are done, which I got to find the end of. That's a big sample program. Yeah. I tried to make some functional apps for some of these new ones. So where we got to when set. So now we're into the drawing functions: arc, bar, box, circle, draw, ellipse, filled circle, filled ellipse, fill for paint, line, and point. And then it goes through those commands. And basically it keeps going through these different subsections. So if you're trying to figure out how to do something, you can actually go, am I doing a graphics drawing command? Am I doing a text related command, like insert a line on the screen? Am I doing windowing stuff? Then you can actually just look at that one section, and it should make it a lot easier for beginners, which is the whole point of this, to know where to look in the manual to learn the commands they need to do or whatever they're trying to accomplish without having to go through an alphabetical list and read everyone because you have no idea what the command's supposed to be in the first place and figure out exactly what it's supposed to be. So hopefully it'll make learning faster. And like I said, Wayne's been cranking away. He's already started in chapter 11. He's found a couple bugs in some of the sample programs in there he's been fixing. We're changing the wording of certain things too, just to make it more understandable. There won't be as many changes in chapter 11 because I haven't actually changed the actual functionality of any of the commands or added new ones or anything like that. There will be some changes later on. There's I guess chapter 12 is on optimization. So there's definitely some stuff there that has changed. They also had a timing chart on how certain mathematical functions take, roughly on average this many CPU cycles. We're going to be adding a chart for the 609 because some of those are pretty drastically different. And there's even a few on the 6809 that have been sped up. There's some of the real functions have been sped up. So we'll be listing that as well, so it'll be more accurate. And then we're going to be adding a whole new chapter on programming specifically for a multitasking windowing environment and multi-view in particular, which will kind of go into, good practices. So you're not stomping over get put buffers from another program, because some of the command or some of the sample programs they did are hard coded for certain things. And if you're running something in another window, it's just going to screw everything up if you follow their sample programs, because it'll just trash each other. And, the whole point of multitasking is that you shouldn't have to worry about that kind of stuff. And you don't have to if you program for it in the first place, but they don't really teach that in the manual. So that's something we're going to be adding a whole new chapter on. And that's one, I think once we get the first draft of that done, I might release that as a separate thing. And then I'm going to want to get a couple of people that actually want to become guinea pigs to try learning Basic 09 that aren't that familiar with it, to go through that chapter in particular and see if our samples and examples are decent enough that you guys can understand what we're trying to get across, so that you get in the good programming practices of not trashing over other programs that are trying to run at the same time, changing all their get put buffers from under them while they're trying to use them, and other things like that. So that's going to be a little bit in the future yet. I haven't even started writing that new chapter, and Wayne's busy on a couple others that he's got to finish first anyway. But I definitely will be looking for some volunteers when we get to that point. Next up, Mikey, who's in the chat, but unfortunately not on the panel, released his first video log post in quite a while, actually. And MAME for iOS. So I'm going to play a little bit here just to kind of see, and you probably, if you watch the Game On Challenge, you've probably seen some of this already. But this will kind of give you an idea what the episode's about.
All right. You guys just watch me play Hungry Horace. And if you can't tell, that this is a very strange machine I have here. This is not a computer. Yes, folks, this is my iPad. And I have found the holy grail of iPad emulation. The thing that everybody wants, to be able to run MAME on your iPad. Coming up right now on N6IL's vlog.
So anyway, that's what Mikey was actually playing the games on the Game On Challenge on Thursday. It was on his iPad. Now, Apple has loosened some of the restrictions on the App Store, mainly because of the European Union has been basically saying you can't sell them if you don't do this. But it's not enough to run MAME because, of course, MAME can emulate machines that, there's ROM copyrights and stuff they'd have to worry about. So this is definitely a side loader, and he explains exactly in this video exactly how to do this if you want to try it on your own iPad. But it seems to run pretty good, and actually has pretty good simulated keyboard and joysticks and stuff here. I'll skip the installation part. You guys can watch that if you want to try it out. But if we get into MAME itself, download some samples. But you can see there's like a lot of settings you can do, and it's all done. Like some of the nice features is you don't need some weird key sequences to bring up the little pop-up menu in partial emulation. It's actually just a quick tap and you're in there. It does some of this stuff automatically, making it, an easier user interface, honestly, than the actual regular MAME is. And of course, the newer iPads have got, gargantuan monster chips in them, so they run emulation like crazy. And of course, it's MAME. You can run a bazillion different machines on it, not just CoCo's. But it seems to work quite well in the CoCo 2 and CoCo 3. Now, Mikey's saying it's not on the App Store yet. They've been working on it, so I'm not sure if they have a release date planned or if that's just still up in the air. So are you a beta tester on this, Mikey? Is that how you're getting access to it? Because it actually does look pretty intriguing, I have to say. It's let's find one of the overlaid controls and stuff here. So they've got the option for a split keyboard. So it actually puts the keyboards on the far left and the far right. So you can actually kind of hold it when you use your thumbs to reach across to tap the different keys. And then they also have a joystick overlay with buttons and a joystick that you can just use your thumbs to manipulate. So it kind of keeps the GUI part of it because there's no keyboard built into the iPad, though you can get external Bluetooth ones, etc. In fact, I have one on my phone. And I think Mike even mentioned when he was trying to play some of the games here, he wished he'd brought his real keyboard because it'd be a lot easier than trying to use the on-screen one. But the on-screen one does work. And it kind of keeps mostly out of your way. Like it's leaving most of the screen free and just putting the keyboard off to the side, which is kind of nice. There, he pulled up Lava Hero, wrong color set off the start, but you can fix that. She figures that a little bit later. And here he's got it running with the proper one. And now you can see the simulated joystick for your left thumb, and then the various buttons, and that's a generic interface for a bunch of different controllers. Obviously, Lava Hero only needs a button, and it doesn't even need the joystick, but it'll bring those controls up if you're trying to play a game that actually does require them. So Mikey's update said I played on my iPhone on the video, and anyone can download and sideload it. You do need an Apple developer account to do it. Then the free account works. You don't have to pay for the full Apple developers account. So any of you that have iPads and are familiar with the Apple Developer Network, you can actually join in and download this and actually use it for playing code games. Now, Mikey, one other question I have for you. I don't know if you looked into it. Does it have the debugger? So it'd be kind of handy to be on the road on a plane or something and have a full debugger and do some code. You could actually do things like fix hero before you release it, type thing. Right, Nick?
No, just release it and then fix the bug.
Yeah, that's the Windows model.
It worked for Microsoft.
Release it, fix the bugs a year or two later.
Service packs.
Yeah, there you go.
And when you finish Mikey's thing, I've got an update from the amazing Buck Owens. So I'll let you finish.
Actually, I'm done. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, the amazingly incredible Buck Owens has come back to me. Says, real stock CoCo 2 NTSC, no worries. Real 6309 CoCo 3 512K, okay. So he's done those and it's all working. I've tested it on a real CoCo 3, and it's working. So it's looking good. All we need now is a Gimme X.
Now, is a 6809 CoCo 1 or CoCo 3 been tested?
He says real stock CoCo 2. So
okay, so 6809 CoCo 2 then.
But that's where it was crashing too.
Right.
But yeah, I guess if we can get someone who has a CoCo 1 or 2 with the 6309 to test it.
He went off to take care of his kids or some stupid thing.
Oh.
You can tell the single guys in the audience.
That's right. That's right. Well, over time we'll see.
Yeah, I'll try the Gimme X after the show's done with the 609.
Yeah. Real-time debugging live on the show.
Yeah, I still want the little camera window like Jason did when he was recapping the CoCo during ICC. I'm just watching, the shared screen of the code that Nick's reassembling and trying out, and preferably with the microphone nearby so you can hear him swearing when he figures out a real dumb bug or something.
Hey, that's my shtick.
Michael's wife on the chat's reporting it works fine as 6809 CoCo 3, so that's been eliminated out of there too. So now we just need a 6309,
a real one. Yep,
CoCo 1 or 2, and the Gimme X.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, next up, 8-Bit Doodads on YouTube. He put up a video called "Having an E-Waste Friend Has Benefits." So he has a friend, and he mentions at the beginning of the show, and I guess he's done a few of these. His friend actually works in the e-waste thing, or e-waste industry, I should say, and kind of gives him heads up that certain places are having a whole bunch of computers and stuff they're just going to throw out otherwise. And he kind of goes through and goes through some of the stuff that he's found, and it's on a variety of platforms and stuff here. But one of the ones he actually picked up was a CoCo 1 here, but with a decidedly not CoCo 1 keyboard. So I'll just play a little clip out. He also picked up like a Model 1 and some other stuff too, so it's pretty cool.
I just wanted to show this real quick. This is something that came in through eWaste. Actually, it came in through a friend of Greg's, who's also called Greg, who's in the e-waste business. In fact, he has a huge operation. I got to visit it one time, and that's when I was given this from him. He takes in recycling from folks, but he also does things like recycling mainframes and recycling the silver off of x-rays and all sorts of interesting things. It was one of the best experiences I had visiting another e-waste partner. This is a Tandy color computer. The reason I want to show it is it's unique to us because we don't have any other Tandys. I've now since gotten a Tandy Model 4P, so I have two Tandys. The reason I wanted to point this out to you all is actually as a call for help and looking for suggestions. What should I get to be able to use this computer and be able to do some things, run some software or what have you? I know it has cartridges. There's a cartridge for a floppy drive controller, and you can buy a floppy drive. but I'm so used to emulated floppy and hard drives. I'm wondering what might be available for this that allows me to play games on it, or load software on it, that kind of thing. And so if any of you have any suggestions, I'd really appreciate them.
So anyway, if you take a look at the show notes on Discord here, you can get a direct link to that video. And if you wanted to put some comments, I think I might have already mentioned it in STC, obviously. But it's CoCo 1's a little bit different. It's a later model, I'm guessing an F board, but it's got a CoCo 3 keyboard in it because it actually has, the function keys and the alt control keys. So that's the same hybrid I have in mind, CoCo 1, actually. But anyway, I was wondering, does anybody else here know some of these e-waste places, the ones that actually gather up a ton of these machines and stuff? Because we always hear about stuff gets, thrown into e-waste and eventually goes to landfill and nobody wants it. Maybe we should set up networks of people that we can start reclaiming these, and these would be cheap. I mean, they're just hucking them out. They don't know, they're not putting them on eBay to make money or anything. Like maybe we can rescue some of these and actually get them in the hands of some people that, otherwise couldn't afford a CoCo 1 or a CoCo 3.
There was actually a talk on that at VCF Midwest. So, it's surprisingly easy, but also surprisingly requiring of networking to get it done. But if you happen to know somebody who's already in the space who can accept the e-waste, that you can accept, and maybe you can start a community drive or something like that. But you did, yeah.
Yeah, because there's no legal things to worry about, is there?
Yes, there are legal things to worry about. Yes, because you've got to deal with data privacy laws. So anything with a hard drive, you're going to have difficulty with. And then you've also got to deal with liability issues of being on the site itself. The guy who did the e-waste thing was saying that most recyclers don't want you just sitting there and, walking around and shopping. If you're going to buy scrap from them, then buy scrap from them. But otherwise, a lot of them are also going to have a lot of them also are going to have their own eBay departments because they'll recognize that some of this stuff is worth money and they'll already be working on it. So you got to find the right one. The guy,
Buck just mentioned that too. He says our county has e-waste drop off. They don't allow scavenging, and a commercial e-waster sells the good stuff on eBay.
Yep, exactly. And so if you want to, is what the guy who was talking about this was saying is if you want to start collecting things, what you do is you advertise that you advertise around, I'll accept the e-waste. You work out a site where you can go ahead and take it. You take it, but you make sure that you've got some place that you can send it with the stuff that you don't want.
Okay. Yeah, the privacy thing I think is definitely for machines. Like if you're getting a stack of floppy disks and it's got, a bunch of word processor files or something, that you definitely have to worry about the privacy stuff there. If it's just a machine like a CoCo, there's nothing.
That's not a big issue. But anytime you're dealing with anything like a computer or something like that, you're still potentially running into issues with, privacy laws, HIPAA, payment processing industry, that kind of thing.
Okay. And Mikey says, I think I know what e-waste place Retro Hack Shack that's there in Newcomb goes to in Union City, California. So it sounds like some of them, each of them might have their own rules too. Like it sounds, I strongly
encourage looking up that talk from VCF Midwest that I don't have the link to right off the rip, but it should be up.
Okay. Yeah, because I know some of the stuff they just kind of, for the people that don't really know what is good on eBay and what is not, though it sounds like a lot of them actually do know. But for the few that don't, then we'll just go, this is really old. Nobody's going to want this, and they'll just toss it, and then we're not even offer it to anybody. So it'd be nice to be able to rescue some of those. Maybe there's another deluxe in there somewhere.
Wouldn't that be nice to find it before it gets scrapped?
Yeah. Is there any good e-waste places in Fort Worth we should be checking?
Right.
Actually, some of the old engineers there are getting rid of stuff and moving to the old folks' home or something.
Actually, we're in the good here because if it was a Commodore 64, it would be identified in eBay. But a CoCo might just be meh.
Yeah. Anyway, it was pretty intriguing because like he said, he knows an e-waster personally here that he got this one from, and didn't sound like he had any problems getting it, much at all. So, and it's like an updated one. you can see here because it has escape brake, which is only on the CoCo 3 or the deluxe one, but it's got the the gray background, so it's definitely a CoCo 3 keyboard that was subbed in here. And he moves his hand every once in a while. You can see the F1 and F2, so it's definitely a CoCo 3 keyboard. Anyway, feel free to leave them some comments. I did recommend the CoCo STC. You guys might have some recommendations for joystick solutions or video out solutions that aren't based on RF composite, or well, actually in his case, I guess just RF on a CoCo 1. Next up, speaking of speeches done at VCF, this is Tom Cherryholmes kind of doing the State of the Union address of Fujinet from VCF, and this is VCF East here that was just posted on the September 27th. And this includes updates on the CoCo port, also updates on some other ones. I'll play just a little clip for those of you who not been able to follow it too closely as to where the CoCo port was. It's obviously an ongoing thing and has been updated since the speech was done, but just to give you a bit of a background.
So now that brings us to the TRS-80 color computer bring up. This one has been happening at light speed since the end of last year. It works on all of the color computers, the 1, 2, and the 3. The current version plugs into the cartridge slot and provides the HDB DOS ROM. And we have a pigtail that goes back to the back for the serial port. We want to get rid of the pigtail. So the next phase there is to take and streamline and simplify that interface so that it can go directly over the bus. But even at this particular point in time, we can do disk and networking. This was an early breadboard that still had the cassette interface attached to it. You no longer have to bootstrap it. This has changed even from this particular point in time. But once you're inside, you have, once again, the same mechanisms that you've seen on other Fujinet platforms to be able to set up your network, to be able to, I'm wanting to move across here so I don't have to, okay. There we go. But you also have the same UI for entering in host information, for looking at files on remote servers. Again, but it's formatted for the TRS-80 color computer, which in this case has a very small screen of 32 characters by 16 lines. So we've had to take and split things up a bit. But all in all, no matter the platform that you choose, you get the same experience. Out of the box, you're able to take and load software directly from the internet or from local storage. You're able to have the virtual printer, and you're able to have the networking out of the box now too. Since this video was made, we've made some example applications, and you can see them at the table to do Mastodon posts, ISS tracker, etc. So the color computer is coming up very, very quickly.
And he does talk about later how they're they're kind of piggybacking on DriveWire and stuff to help get it ramped up as quick as it's been going. And obviously it's an ongoing project with multiple people involved. Now, Henry, the version that you're making right now, that has the HTTP DOS on ROM too. You don't have to load it off cassette.
Yeah. So right now we still don't have the full bus like cartport item ready. They're still kind of figuring out, they're still kind of working out how to get that interfaced and everything like that. And quite frankly, there was a lot of excitement about getting Fujinet working on OS 9 on the Phoenix device. So with that going on, Fujinet's going to start working on under OS 9 on the 3 and the others relatively soonish, if not immediately. But yeah, we're still, I wouldn't be surprised if we're still looking at about the beginning of the year before we have a full, like, can get rid of the dongle.
Okay. William Athing just posted an update there too, because he's involved with it as well. And he says the next version with the Pico, replacing the ROM and implementing a Becker port in the Pico has been prototyped and works, and now they're working on layouts for the board.
Okay, so I stand corrected in that one. Then it might be as early as it might be pretty darn quick, because as soon as I see that prototyping pop up, I'm building one and just to see how well it works. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, so like he said, it's going at lightning speed, and having not having to have any of these extra cables and just running straight off the bus on the cartridge slot would be definitely ideal, because then people don't need all this extra stuff hanging off.
That's going to be so nice.
And much faster too, because the bus you have parallel data pins.
Well, we're still the implementation that's being used is still effectively using HDB DOS. I think they're using the Becker port for it. I don't think they're getting away from the serial bit banger. They're just moving it from the serial bit banger to the Becker port.
So it wouldn't present a whole byte at one time, it'd still be a bit at a time?
I think it's still serial. I haven't looked at the firmware to see what's going on with that. I know they're playing directly with the PIOs on the Pico or on the RP2040. So, I unfortunately haven't cut up as close tabs to that source tree as I could have.
Okay. No, the reason I was asking, like the RS-232 pack, which also plugs into the cartridge port and is a serial-based connection, actually will present all 8 bits at a time.
Oh yeah, but even so, it will be a byte at a time and 1 megabit per second. Bill says, and yeah, it should be able to work on the Dragon as well, as long as everything boots properly.
Yeah. Yeah, it might need some patching to the Dragon, because Dragon DOS is quite a different animal than this basic. That's one of the few things between the Dragon and the CoCo that's actually quite different. There's a sector-based, not granule-based. Like the whole file system's different. It handles different size drives. This basic doesn't.
Yeah.
You probably have an easier time porting a OS9 level 1, because that works pretty well identically between both. Yeah, byte at a time means, yeah, you can crank the speeds up quite a bit. Especially if you put a 6 or a 9 in there and just start blasting. Cool. Well, I look forward to that. That's the version I want to eventually start fiddling with, is the one that's just a cartridge by itself.
Well, I do plan on building them once that board gets done. Whether it's Rev 0, whether it's the first revision or not, whether bodges are necessary or not, I'm going to be playing with it.
Cool. Well, keep us posted. One anything in the chat there. We should have you on the show one of these days here too. Maybe you and Henry can kind of do a dual presentation when the new version comes out to kind of go through it.
Song and dance number?
Yeah. Ron DeVoe will be ready with the hook in case you're taking too long.
What?
Just making sure you're awake, Ron.
I'm listening.
Okay, I don't even know how to pronounce this. I'm going to butcher it. My apologies. But Brazilian YouTube channel, Veim dos Game, I probably completely slaughtered it. Uploaded a video about fixing a Prologica CP400, which is, of course, one of the Brazilian CoCo clones. And as he mentions here, this has still got some intermittent issues. Progress is made, like it's better than it started. And you'll have to turn on, if you don't understand the native tongue in Brazil, you'll have to turn on the translation, which actually in this video does work. So I'll play a little bit, but you just kind of see it, and I'll fast forward a little bit. Show you what some of the issues were.
Salve, meu povo retrô! Emoções fortes teremos agora, viu?
I must say, I'm not a big fan of YouTube shrinking the text here so small, and there's no way to reset it back to the bigger size. I mean, it's fine on a big screen like I'm looking at now, but if you're like on your phone or something trying to read this, good luck. I don't know why they shrunk it down so much. Maybe not to block the video as much, but at least make it a switch you can twitch between. So anyway,
are you getting scared because there's a soldering iron there?
Yeah, that's why I'm fast forwarding. Goes through a bit of the motherboard here, which is a bit different than a CoCo. Goes through some of the ports. Here you can see is the bodge wire thing there. He's got the first generation one of the chiclet keys, not the better keyboard that the second version CP400-2 came with. And he fires it up and the sound and stuff's working, but you'll see the video tends to degrade after time and starts giving problems, and he's trying to figure out exactly what's causing it.
Run. Enter. Aí. Deu certinho.
There's a test program most of us tried in the day.
E vamos deixar rodando aí esse equipamento para ver se não vai gerar aqueles problemas de aquecimento. Como vocês viram, eu troquei a pasta térmica do regulador de tensão.
So he changed the
fez
thermal
alguns
paste on the
arranjos,
voltage
trocou
regulator, did some
capacitor,
cleaning,
enfim,
changed the
deu aquela
capacitor.
geral no equipamento para ver se. Só que eu já tô vendo aqui, galera, ó.
And now you see the screen's flickering every once in a while, and basically the longer he leaves it on, the more this starts to happen.
Começou a passar umas faixinhas aqui, verticais, parou agora. Olha aí, ó. Tá piscando, cara. Bom, o que tá acontecendo aqui é muito aleatório, viu? Agora
So as he
faz
says,
uma
it's very
hora que tá
random.
aqui.
I think it does tend to get worse the longer it's on. I'm not a hardware guy. Do any of your hardware guys have any suggestions as to what he should be checking for? Just thinking it as a CoCo because it's probably similar.
He needs to move the video cable away from electric lines.
Wouldn't that stay constant though? Like it shouldn't be getting
No,
worse.
it'll change with whatever electric thing you got near it.
It's like there's a random reset or glitch or something that happens, and I can't fathom why that would just. Not without knowing, more details about the hardware involved.
Yeah.
I mean, since his CPU keeps running and the program keeps running, that eliminates 90% of the machine.
Right, there's just a little bit of a power glitch or something going on there, but where's it coming from? Good luck, yeah.
Yeah, because here you can see one of the other glitches.
That may be mid-roll, right?
Vejam, de novo.
Oh, that's just
Cada
nasty.
mexida que a gente dá resolve-se um problema, né? Mas
You're going to need that capacitor kit from Retro Rewind.
Well, if you watch the video, he's actually replaced a few already at this point. So I he's trying to, like he showed schematics, he's trying to follow the circuit.
Needs to do a few more.
Julian Brown has a suggestion.
Vertical sync voltage levels are off, probably seeing the 0.31 volt degraded. Well, you guys that actually know what you're talking about should hit our show notes on Discord and get the link to this video and go pop a few comments in there because you can use Google Translate to go the other direction, just like I was doing, trying to figure out what this video is about. So, but I know you guys have gone through this kind of stuff. Julian in particular, because he's done so many things trying to get his reproduction motherboards with enhancements out that he's discovered a lot of these things. Another broken CoCo 2, so 8-bit Retro Journal has a broken CoCo 2 as well. And his September video for this year is trying to fix it. Now, this one, he does not get fixed up at the end, and it's basically just putting garbage on the screen. And he doesn't have a ton of equipment to test stuff with. He's got some, like he's showing the heat meter here to see if there's a chip that's just overheating. He actually appeals to people watching the video for some help on things to possibly try. So if any of you hardware guys want to, give him a hand, I will show you. It's basically he replaced all the RAM already. Was one thing he did, but I would check how he did the RAM testing because I don't know if he did it right. Just fast forward.
And on the underside, there's nothing special. It's completely clean. There's no bodge wires or anything.
But basically, when he powers it up, he gets something like
probably
this.
Probably not it. So what I will do. Yeah, so you still get that randomness. So it doesn't seem like anything has fixed it. And I could be multiple chips, and of course this chip could be also busted.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to lean towards CPU or SAM.
Right, because when it first starts up, it gets a good green screen, which means the RAM is working as video RAM. Otherwise, you wouldn't get the nice green border with the clear background and no garbage. But then it trashes out right away. So.
Okay, well, if you guys can leave him a comment, because he actually at the end of the video he's kind of pleading for help on this, and he's not super up on the hardware tech, I don't think. Well, he knows more than I do, but that's not saying much. But yeah, I think you guys could definitely at least kind of guide him in the right direction and maybe give him a few things to specifically test that might help him. And like I said, the link to these videos are all in the show notes. So, and they're already uploaded to the Discord. I already uploaded them earlier.
And he has sockets, so that's good.
Yeah. This is an odd one. So John Kowalski, alias Sockmaster, popped up and posted in the CoCo Discord that there's this little video on YouTube called the Europa Clipper, A Voyage to the Waters Above. And this is about a space probe that the European Space Agency and some others are making to go to the moon of Jupiter, Europa, and check for the oceans they believe are under the surface, see if they can find any organics and stuff getting fired out, because I think this is one of the satellites, moons that actually, has those geysers and stuff that throw everything up. They're seeking to see, is there any hints of life in there type thing. And this is a video put out by a channel called Parallax Nick, which has almost 40,000 subscribers. That's definitely a space video. So why am I bringing it up here? Well, they inserted some stock footage in the background of a woman's hands typing on a keyboard. And the keyboard is an isolated CoCo 1 chiclet keyboard. Now, where the heck did you get stock footage of that, first of all? And why did they decide to use that in this particular video? So I'll play it, and there'll probably be a couple seconds of preamble here, but then you'll see it plain as day.
Longer. She noted that the decadal survey had demanded a less expensive Europa mission, and they had made one. She noted that life requires 3 fundamental elements: water, energy, and chemistry. And Europa, as far as they knew, had all 3. She reminded everyone of the recently discovered plumes, and that if life existed in the ocean, there
I know
would
a
be
lot of us are
evidence
into the
on
space stuff,
surface.
so it's probably of general interest too.
Despite everything, the protests, the need for launch approval, and the shortage of plutonium, Kurt insisted that the Clipper's power source be radiological rather than solar. Ultimately, this would be ditched. The Europa Clipper, when it launches, will be carrying solar panels. Solar panels coated in glass to protect it from radiation, but solar panels nonetheless. This has placed a severe time limit on the mission.
Yep, so I might have backtracked a bit too far.
4 years, rather than the 8 Kurt had wanted. Still, the mission was a go. Optimistically, Kurt had purchased a bottle of champagne for that moment. After the meeting, he popped it. On the 17th of June,
I think I went too far.
Joan had
Here.
written the presentation herself and included what Kurt called a Joan bullet, a deadline.
So that's no other
to ensure-
keyboard than the CoCo Chiclet. Nothing else looked like that. But I'm kind of wondering where they got that as stock footage. And it's not even in the case, like it's just a keyboard laying on a table.
Yeah. And the operator is obviously female.
Yeah. I mean, it's well shot. It's well lit. Like it's done by professionals. But why would they've picked a CoCo keyboard for this? I have no idea. I know that there's a bit of a soft spot for the old people at NASA because they actually did use 6809s and stuff on some of the original test equipment for the shuttle program and stuff. So maybe it's harkening back to that. I don't know.
So does it scroll far enough to show the infamous 2 key? Is this in
Fine.
fact a teletype keyboard?
That almost looks
and included
AI
what Kurt
generated.
called a Joan bullet.
It does
A
a bit,
deadline.
doesn't
No, cuts it off at the 3.
We'll never know.
The hands look a little bit too smooth to be real hands.
Right. Oh yeah, but I guess the 8 and the 9, yeah.
No,
That's right.
check out the nail polish.
It's ugly. Yeah, it's good.
Oh, it's just got errors on it. That's all. It's
Yeah,
not.
that's what I mean.
smooth.
You know, a little staining of the skin around the nails and a little whoopity edges, and yeah.
Yeah, this looks
real.
this. Oh, and you can see the dust. You can see the dust between the keys. So, like the discoloration and dusting between the keys. So that's definitely,
I actually ripped it out of a CoCo and said, "This looks old."
Yep.
Yeah, I would love to know the background story why they picked this.
That is the perfect case for a CoCo keyboard. It's just it on the desk.
Yeah, well, there used to be those ribbon cables. Some of the companies like Spectrum Products sold that. That's literally what you did. You had a 6-foot cable. You plugged it in the computer, and then you sat back on the couch.
Well, you can see just a little bit of green there in the bottom corner.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, it's well cut, so you don't see the raw guts hanging out.
Anyway, John Kowalski's the one who found this video and pointed it out on the Discord, and I went and checked it out, and I was like, holy cow, you're right. That is a CoCo keyboard.
And a
But
clean
yeah,
one.
it's a rather an odd choice. I like it, but it's rather an odd choice. And like I said, I'm kind of wondering if NASA employees maybe had something to do with it because they did use some. I think they use gimmicks though. I don't think they use CoCos. unless some of them just brought them in from home or something. But I do know it's a 609 based machines doing some of the test equipment.
And it is odd. Anyone who knows how to type can look at those keys and say, that whole top row is wrong. So it brings some, sciencey thing.
I don't think this picture may not be from back in the time, though. This could be just a...
No, I think it's more modern. I think it's a modern...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but today, on a modern keyboard, the 6 has the caret, the 7 is the ampersand. This is all wrong. So it's designed to be wrong, and it is. So they picked a good keyboard for their...
Yeah, it's the old style,
purpose.
Before they standardize later on. No, it's just fascinating. So thanks, John, for finding that, because I wouldn't have found it. And I watch a fair bit of NASA-related and space-related stuff, but this is one channel I've not watched before. So
Ron should be awake by now.
Right?
Yeah, Ron, we're doing space stuff here. Actually, I think he stepped away. Oh, no,
The reason they did that was to make it look like nothing anybody can see. It's not a current computer, and it doesn't show any computer around it, so it looks modern now.
Yeah,
maybe
it looks. That's right. What's old is new.
And chiclet keyboards have come back recently. That's what a lot of the laptops use. So
yeah, no one's going to sit there and identify it if you're running an Apple II somewhere.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Anyway, it's not too often I've ever seen stock footage of a CoCo anything, so that was pretty impressive.
Right. We're moving.
Like I said, well shot, well lit, the whole bit. So it's professionally done, I would say. Okay, next up, Kieran has announced some XRoar online enhancements, which he literally announced yesterday. He said, I do kind of keep it up to date, but I thought I'd note a few more enhancements than usual. So the View tab has all the TV controls in it now, so you can actually mess with the hue online too. Now, for some of the people that have been playing with our artifact colors on CoCo games, and it's not quite what they remember from when they had their CoCo 1 to a TV back in 1984 or something. That's because everybody's TVs are suddenly different. So this might be more green than blue, and this might be more orange than red, and that kind of thing. So he's actually got a hue control on there. You can actually adjust that. So if you're used to an artifact game from back in the day being one way, you can actually adjust it so it actually will be that way again, even if it's a little off from what the emulators generally tend to do on their own. The File tab lets you create new DMK files and save out disks now, or save out disks now, I should say. So that's the David Keel format that has a lot more low-level stuff in it. It's not like a disk image, which is just the raw data part of the sector. This actually contains the sector headers, CRC checks, and that kind of stuff. It's what's the favorite format for doing, for the Grease Weasel and Cat Weasels for creating, disks images based on copy protected disks, which have a lot of that stuff odd. And there's the SDF format for the CoCo SDC, which is basically the DMK with a slightly different header from what I remember. But now that XRoar Online will actually handle those fine. And it's also the Tier80 GP emulator. It's CoCo 1 and 2, I think, defaults to DMK format. So that makes it a bit more compatible with some other online emulators as well. And he also mentions, and for those that roll their own, the need for ROM stub files has been lifted so long as you use the canonical file name for each ROM. Because I know a lot of people are complaining if you're trying to do a custom ROM or something like that, and this goes for MAME, and a few others too, it just won't load, or it'll beak about a bunch of errors, and the CRC doesn't match. And anybody's customized ADOS is going to have trouble doing any of their old ADOS stuff. So it sounds like that will kind of reduce that drastically, as long as you just name the ROM file the same. And I'm not sure, Karen, if you're still in the chat, if you want to answer this, I'm not sure if this has actually been linked into the Color Computer archive yet, or if that's still using a slightly older version of XRoar Online. Right now, if you want to try it, and you can see the link that Karen's provided here, www.609.org.uk/XRoar/online. That's his local XRoar Online on his own site. I don't know if the archive has this newest version in there yet or not. Next up, this is a rather interesting one too. David Weens, who is one of the principal people behind the Sardis no-halt controller for the CoCo 1, 2, and 3, and probably the most advanced of the know-how controllers. It had a huge cache between 8 and 32K. He also did stuff like the MS-DOS file manager for OS9. He did the SDisk and SDisk3 drivers for OS9. He's done some stuff in Flex. In fact, the version of Flex that runs under EOU is actually one he wrote and is released. So he's been working on a single board, homemade computer, which he's calling the ST2900. And with a highly modified OS9 689 level 1 kernel. Now, level 1, of course, is the one that requires 64K to run, but that's also the maximum. If you want to get anything with MMUs, etc., beyond 64K, you have to go to level 2. So one thing he did is he changed the kernel, because there's some parts of the kernel that are used for booting only, and then they aren't generally used after that at all. They're just taking up space. Now, in the case of the CoCo, they did tie the reset vector, so you can actually partially reboot the system with reset. So that some of that code is needed if you want that functionality. So it'll keep the kernel track in, but execute the boot module to lend the rest of the OS9 boot. So you can actually, boot up, do some changes to your main OS9 boot file, hit reset instead of having to go back and read track 34 and all that. It skips that and just goes immediately to loading the OS9 boot file, picks up, partly through the boot process, which is the reason I haven't done that myself because I generally use that feature quite a bit when I'm fiddling with system modules. But if you want the extra memory back and you don't want to use that for debugging, you can definitely free up some room. So he mentions here specifically on his board, he's now merged the 2 kernel modules, so OS9P1, OS9P2, or Kern 0, Kern P2, or whatever it's called on the current one. Then split that module into initialization routines, Kern 0, and a main module Kern. Kern 0 is not entered into the module directory, so its memory can be overwritten and reused afterwards. And this frees up approximately 650 bytes, which on level 1, that's almost 3 pages that frees up. And you're a lot more memory restricted on level 1, obviously. And he mentions here, as a bit of a credit, the starting point for this modified kernel was a reconstruction of the microware source code for modules OS9P1 and OS9P2, used to generate version 2.0.0 of OS9 6809 for level 1. And he actually got the source for that from Chris Burke. Now, Chris was definitely directly involved with the level 2 version 3 upgrade, which was directly involved with Microware Tandy and Kevin Darling, Kent Myers, and a bunch of the others, including Chris. So they probably had original source code from Microware on this. He says, the OS9 boot files now also contain the kernel modules. I used to put the kernel modules into a separate OS9 kernel file instead of hidden on track 34 like on the CoCo. So that's a bit of a difference between his board and the CoCo type stuff. But basically, he's kind of sharing the fact that he's got this up and running, that it will save, over half a K of RAM. And there's definitely some comments in the response to this, basically asking, could we do that with NitrOS9 for the CoCos as well? And the answer is yes, you could. As I just mentioned, I kind of keep it in there because for my development, because I'm working on the operating system itself, it's much more convenient for me to just hit reset once and I don't have to do the whole boot process. I get to skip the entire stage 1 part of it. But for most people, actually, this makes perfect sense. Why keep that stuff around if you're never going to use it? And that even applies to level 2 because the system map there is bigger, but you can still, if you can save 650 bytes, why not? So that's something I'll definitely have to think about. I may have to take a look at his code. Now, his level 1 code's going to be a fair bit different from what I've got, but basically taking the same principle of stuff that's only required for the boot process and maybe make new versions of the modules that don't have that. And I could make that a swap boot option on level 2 that you could pick one if you're doing debugging like I am of system modules and you want to reboot to see if the new version crashes or not. And then you just swap boot back to the original, one that doesn't have the extra boot stuff hanging around and get the system RAM back. So, because that's one thing we are hitting problems with, especially when you're running level 1 software under level 2, especially graphical games and the like. It yanks 6K out of the system map because it has to maintain backwards compatibility with how memory was set up on level 1. And with the GUIs and all that kind of stuff on top of it, you're running out of room to do that. So anyway, thanks, David, for doing that. And I will definitely have to take a look at it. Next up, Ian Maverick posted some shots here of Steve Leniger actually signing a CoCo 1, or this might be the Australian CoCo 2 that is basically known as the CoCo 1 up in North America. Steve had a bit of involvement with the CoCo, but not a ton. He actually talked about it. I think Paul Fiscarelli was actually showing him some notes that Robert Kilgus had from the prototype model, or CoCo 1s and stuff, and he wasn't that directly involved. He helped with some specific things, I think mainly with trying to make sure the RF interference and stuff would meet the new FCC regulations and that kind of thing. But he did have a little bit of involvement with it. So actually got it signed there, you can see. There's the actual live signing. So, of course, Steve was the creator of the Model 1, which kind of started Tandy into the whole home computer thing, period. So we wouldn't have a CoCo without him, even if he wasn't all that directly involved with it. Marco Spitaletti, I've been giving you guys updates on UG Basic or Micro Games Basic, I should say, over the last few weeks here, because he's basically doing updates just about every week, and he's got a beta branch, he's got the main branch, but this is an actual official release that he's, hyping up on the various platforms. So version 1.16.4, and I'll just read his post here that he put in the CoCo group. But he says, a new version of UG Basic, Micro Games Basic, the isomorphic open source basic compiler, has been released. It contains specific optimizations for the Tier City Color Computer 1, 2, and 3, and it is able to generate image disks for all of them. Micro Games Basic is a cross-compiler for Linux and Windows for writing games in an easy language that can run on dozens of different 8-bit home computers and consoles. And basically, you don't have to do very much code translation between them. You can write one software that, for the most part, will run on all of them. Obviously, there'll be some differences because the graphics, etc., are quite different between some platforms, but it makes it a lot easier. A lot closer together than the basics were back in the day. There's also a free and convenient built-in IDE for Microsoft Windows and a sandbox if you don't want to install anything, which is actually a nice feature to have. Don't have to dick around with your system. So, all right, that's officially available, and you can actually go download it and give it a shot. I'm hoping somebody will be able to actually give this a better attention than I would be able to, and actually try a few things. We've actually shown a couple of the games that have been released for the platform, the CoCo versions of them. I think I showed a Hangman game just a couple of weeks ago that was based on this. So interesting. And they've got some pretty good fast graphics routines and stuff there too. It's definitely got some stuff faster than basic, that's for sure. And here's the page link for the CoCo specific part of it. And you can kind of scroll down. It gives you how to set it up and what's involved, what gets included. He got some screenshots from a couple example games he's done earlier with it. And you'll see it actually supports some artifacting graphics if you want. And it also supports the standard Primo 3 style stuff. Bit more depth, which graphics modes he supports. Unfortunately, semi-graphics, he's only got semi-graphics 4 and 6, so we can't port Hero. But maybe the other one that Paul Fiscarelli is doing might be able to handle that. Talking about blitting images, so he's got some faster blit operations than basic has, etc. So there's actually some, pretty good CoCo information here on the CoCo specific part of the port as well. So definitely go check that out if you're interested. Next up, Terry Trapp posted a video on trying to get CoCo 3 RGB video converted to VGA. Now, we've got a fair number of solutions now that will cover getting it to HDMI through SCART. There's also the more direct method using I think it's the Raspberry Pi that Aaron Newcomb at Retro Hack Shack does. But Terry's trying a couple of converters here. I will give you a bit of a spoiler. Neither of them work properly. It does get an image, but it's only doing like one corner of it, as you can see here. So he tried two different converters here that were supposed to work, the GBS 8200 and the Ambry AV-1N. And if I had to guess, and I'm not a hardware guy, so I'm probably guessing wrong here, I would guess that it's trying to figure out a 31.5 kilohertz signal for VGA. And the CoCo's putting it at 15.75, so it's just not getting everything properly. Any thoughts from the hardware guys here as to why it's scaled we did this?
If you take a hammer to it, it would work.
I think you're right.
You'd get so frustrated.
See, I get to cheat. The Give Me X has 31 kilohertz VGA coming right out of the back of it, so it's just plug it in and go. All right, go ahead, Rick.
No, I'm just saying you're exactly right. That's why the screen's twice as wide as it should be.
Yeah. So I think like if you don't want to go the SCART route, I think we'll cover it a bit here. There's another story covering this.
Well, shouldn't we say that the screen right there is fairly clean?
But this
well, that's the whole reason he wants to do it, right? Because he's been doing all of his video capture using composite before because he doesn't have anything else he can capture. He can't capture the analog RGB, and composite looks like crap. So
But this goes back to true multi-sync, and remember all the hassles we had with that?
I love true multi-sync. There was no hassle. You just plugged it in and figured it out on its own. It was done.
One, but no one had it. Everyone had a multi-sync that didn't really do it, and
I still have mine.
You ended up with, okay, these 3 resolutions work, but the other 16 resolutions I have don't. Oh well.
No, get a NEC multi-sync too, then, because
I'm an old man. Yeah.
I will keep on to that one for dear life. Okay, next up, Jamie's Hack Shack did a video on the MC10 with the MCX 128. That's the older predecessor to the SD. I'm going to always get this wrong. SDX MC32 something. The SD card one with 32K RAM. This actually gives you 128K of RAM. And I think he still sells these. It also includes extended basic enhancements that Darren Atkinson did. Which gives you up to P mode 1 resolution. In fact, the latest versions actually support up to P mode 4 if you go and modify the motherboard to allow up to 8K video RAM instead of the 4 that Tandy built in. Then you can actually access all the P modes just like a CoCo can. So this is actually an upgrade that he had bought quite a while ago and just didn't really have time to get to it, and he finally got to it this time. Adds a 120K RAM, as I mentioned, is part of the name of the product itself. It also adds extended basic and also MC drive wire like functionality. So he goes through and installs it and then, tests it out a bit here. And you can see it right here. No SD card slot on the top. And you get some cabling. We've got a little demo of it running here. Press spoiled on the CoCo STC Explorer. This is going to seem really primitive.
On the MC10, I issued the dir command, and then I was greeted with the results of the contents of my actual directory on the Linux machine.
That's using MC, which is kind of drive wire.
To give it a try, and had some interesting results. The program loaded up and everything okay, but the controls were not quite right. You can see here that it says the controls are A and Z on the keyboard. And as soon as things get started up here, you see the thing just goes straight to the top, and you might see it flutter around, but no matter what A and Z I press, it is not really moving. It's very inconsistent. So it's like I didn't have any control. And that ended up being the case with several things, and I thought maybe something was wrong with the machine.
Now, if I remember, didn't Jim Gary mention that there was a bug in one of the extended basics where it was causing something like this that got fixed later or something? I don't know, Jim, if you're still in the chat, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm seeming to have a faint memory of that. Exile in Paradise, Alan Murphy in the chat mentions MC supports folders and directories and things that I wish DriveWire would. I also noticed it handled long file names, even showing like a long file name PDF there that was on his directory. So I would agree with that. He's also mentioning right at show start, Glen Hewlett released an update to his basic 609 basic 2.609 compiler version 2.11 is out. Check out his GitHub. I will have to add that in because I did not see that one before. I will add the show notes so I can throw it in an update to the show notes here. All right, go check out this video where he kind of works away with this, and it's a nice little upgrade. I think the SD version has kind of superseded it. It doesn't give you quite as much RAM to fiddle with, but the extended basic I think slightly more up to date, and the SD card functionality is really nice, where you don't need a second computer with the MC server to supply files. You can just do it locally. And continuing on with the MC10, Jim Gary, his one non-game related one this week is a program originally called Database, originally published by Hayes Publishing in 1985. Is from the book, The Tier City Color Computer Programmer's Handbook. What else can you do with your Tier City? So this was originally a CoCo program. He supported the MC10. It's got a rather odd mechanic as to how to do the database stuff, though. It's not where you just answer prompts. It actually will you select something you want to do, and then it'll actually exit out of the program after printing some instructions of what lines in the basic program to modify to rerun. And that's how you enter stuff in, which is really weird. So I thought I'd play a little bit just to show you, because it's just one of the most weirdest things I've ever seen.
Maybe it was doing that because of the low RAM.
Quite possible.
So it's not self-modifying BASIC.
No, and he said, definition of a new database. Warning, data will be lost. Continue. Yes, you hit yes. And it says, type the following: 299 data quotes, insert database name, then hit enter and type 1 and hit enter. So you're deleting a line. Then type run again and hit enter. It's like, what?
That's cool.
So you have to take a picture of that in order to have it.
So it changes the menu. Now it says files, new data, Insert, delete, and entry. Okay, now you got to type in the data statement for your new entry. So you're basically just programming it all by hand.
Okay.
That's the most bizarre database I've ever seen. You just basically, it's giving you instructions to type data statements to embed your database into the basic program itself.
Well, that's something you could do.
Now, maybe that's true that they were trying to get this to run in 4K, but honestly, if you're going to do database anything, I wouldn't even touch 4K. I'd require the 16K RAM expansion minimum, and then write a proper database program that can actually save to cassette. This just seems like such a weird way to do things. But it works. I mean, when you run it after doing the changes, you can actually view your entries.
Oh, by Hayes Publishing. They had to get out 32 programs that month.
And when you go to delete items, it tells you to delete the line number and stuff. It's just weird. I would never, ever use this in a million years, but, innovative way of thinking, I guess. Okay, SpriteWorks, Jay Mundy, the guy who programmed them and actually did a video last time for Septandy showing some of the expansions and hardware upgrades that he put in, including the the full PC keyboard and a bunch of other things that he's done. So one thing he's been doing, he installed the composite video, the Ed Snyder composite video, but he didn't really notice much of a difference in the quality. It made it easier for him to capture screen output in his capture device because most of them don't do RF. But he wanted to get something better. So he actually got in contact with Aaron Newcomb at Retro Hack Shack. And there's a version of this for the CoCo we've shown before, but I don't think anybody's really tried on the MC10 before to actually get raw HDMI output out of it. And he does the whole intro and unboxing, and then he finds out he didn't have the right size cable because it's not a standard HDMI connector. It's one of the mini ones. So he has to order that in, and then you get the next part of the video where he actually gets that. And I'll just go up to the spoiler alert part and kind of show it in action. It actually looks pretty nice. Now, you do have some profile stuff you have to set up. Otherwise, it doesn't quite come out looking quite correct at the beginning. So you have to do some tweaking until it's right. But once it is, it locks in pretty good. He did have one part of it where there's a capacitor on the board and it was causing some jiggling. And there's a notification in the manual that certain machines will not need this capacitor. In fact, you should remove it to get a better quality picture, which is exactly what he had to do. I think this is the bad one.
On the circuit board that
you can see all this flickering on some of these letters here.
But I'll go ahead and try running the game and see how it looks.
But when you took that capacitor out, it made a huge difference. I'll backtrack to here.
So let's go ahead and turn on the computer now and see how it looks. Oh, wow. So that flickering we were getting before is now completely gone. The letters are completely stable. Hopefully you can see that on the camera, but it looks absolutely amazing. I cannot believe this. I'll go ahead and Press the button to get into the game. Wow, it looks beautiful. Yeah, the menus look incredible. Let's see how the actual game looks. It looked incredible before, but now, wow, now it looks absolutely perfect. This is unbelievable. HDMI output on an MC10 computer. Incredible. I never thought I would see this day, but it is amazing. Wow.
A bit of difference in quality there.
Slightly. So there we go. Obviously, that was a big success, and I am beyond him.
And I must say, I really admire his T-shirt. I went outside once. The graphics weren't that great.
Like that.
I've seen a couple of queries in the chat now that's saying that the physical package we showed last week with the boxes and stuff and the cables included and stuff were sold out. That is true. I did contact Jay Mundy directly yesterday, I think it was. And he is actually planning on making more because he's had pretty high demand. He wasn't expecting to sell as many that quickly. So just hang on. It'll be back on the store soon with the options for the boxes, the full package deals. Okay, next up, some Dragon news, and then we'll get to that brand new one that Alan just mentioned about Glen Hewlett's upgraded basic compiler thingy. So WA on the World of Dragon Archive forums mentioned, and thanks to Phil Harvey Smith, the Dragon beta add-on schematics, PCBs, and PAL SRC files are now available on his GitHub. So this is the original announcement on the World of Dragon forums. And of course, the Dragon beta was a machine that Dragon was working on in 1984 that was going to really push things. It was actually going to be closer to a CoCo 3 than a Dragon. It had an MMU, up to 768K of RAM, built-in floppy drives, I think dual CPU, if I remember, the whole bunch of things. And there's only 3 prototypes were made. Only one exists and functions today. And they've been working on duplicating the boards, but there's a bunch of additional boards for additional functionality that have been added to it too. And if you want to actually, remake those, and they're also making it so that you can actually make the motherboards themselves here, kind of like, Pedro's done with the CoCo 1, 2, and 3. This is a list of some of the add-ons here. So he goes in a bit of the background of the kind of the history of the Dragon and the fact that Duncan Smeed of Inside the Dragon book fame actually had some of the original discs drivers and stuff for the Dragon beta. So actually they have some of the software that actually drives some of the stuff as well. And then they've done some improvements. Like they mentions here, a lot of the old chips from the original Dragon beta are pretty well unobtainable. Phil's gone to great lengths to create some good add-on boards, which can be used to replace the archaic SRAM chips that handle paging, as well as replacing the 32 dynamic RAM chips, which provided the original 256K. These are now replaced by a small daughter board. He's also created a 512K expansion RAM, which plugs into the expansion port and effectively takes the machine to 768K of RAM. 3/4 of a gig in 1984. Another archaic part of the Dragon was the use of the original Sony 26-pin floppy drive connector. This is different to the Amstrad 26-pin connector. Phil's put together a 26-pin to 34-pin adapter, which allows the connection of normal floppy disk drives, so you can actually hook up normal floppy drives to it as well. And then they're doing some improvements on the keyboard interface. Like the original Dragon beta used a matrix scan bit serialized keyboard similar to the CoCo does. As with many other machines, Phil put together a PS2 keyboard adapter. In addition, now it has a USB keyboard and mouse adapter. And yes, the Dragon beta had a mouse. It also had a light pen, but we will likely leave that particular one back in 1984. So yeah, this was going to be like their master one. This was the one that was going to be almost a business machine, like a professional type thing. This is one I really wish had made it to the light of day, because that would have been a couple of years ahead of the CoCo 3. That might have pushed Tandy to maybe fast track the CoCo 3 stuff. Mind you, they were working on the Deluxe at the same time too, but the Deluxe didn't go this far.
Was that a VDG based machine as well?
If I remember correctly, I think it had VDG and 684580 column. I can't remember. Some of the guys in the chat here, the Dragon experts, might be able to correct me that, because I'm going off very faint memory here. Buck says in the chat, the MC10 software market is hot. He's right. And then the final Dragon one this week, Julian Brown, who I think was in the chat earlier as well, has posted a detailed update on his revision 3 motherboard replacement for Dragon 32. The baseboard he's got working now. He actually found a problem. He'd kind of shortcutted putting a part in and put a part that didn't work. And actually, when he put the proper part number that he was supposed to instead of the replacement, it worked fine. So it turned out to not be a problem at all. Just the wrong part. So the baseboard is working now. So basically, it fires up as a regular Dragon 32. He's now going to be working on testing the 256K RAM banker board, which is similar to the JR banker that Ken has in his CoCo 2, which will give you 256K that you can page in and out in 32K chunks. And you can get a picture of the board down here. And he's thoughtfully labeled some of the big chips here with the actual chip names so that you can see what you're looking at. Yeah, it'd be kind of nice. This is a Dragon 32 expanded 256K. He's also planning on adding a sound chip to it on board and some other stuff too. So it's almost like a Dragon 32 Dash Mark II or something. And then because it was suggested by Alan, let's load in the link he had here for Glen Hewlett's update because I have no idea what's in here. So version 2.11, tweak the play command had problems with quoted play strings. I can't remember if we covered 2.10 before or not. More information, check his blog post. Let's go try his blog post. Oh, that's an older post. That's just kind of describing what the compiler itself does. So he's fixed some other things in 2.10, play command and tweak draw strings, or draw command so it handles the semicolon X string. Doesn't need a semicolon, fixed a nasty bug where certain bytes and add asm and end asm would actually overwrite the actual program code. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Fixed a bug in InKey. So this is obviously something he's working on, and it's basically an integer basic style. It doesn't have the floating point stuff, because that's one of the main slowdowns of Microsoft Extended Basic. It would have been really nice if they could have fit in both integer and real floating point. But you definitely write some pretty decent stuff on this. So thanks for letting us know about that update, Alan. I'll re-upload the show notes so that one's included. And that's all I've got for this week.
Under 4 hours.
Yeah,
it's a miracle.
I debugged well in time.
Yep, I was pretty sure you'd make it. Sorry, Dragon Meetup is next week. So Karen and any of the others who possibly might make it, please, if you can. If the timing of actually coming on live as you guys are at the pub, it's too noisy to hear you guys, then at least if you can send us some photos via the Discord or directly email me if you want to, I'll put them on the show so we can kind of live vicariously through you.
Does the time match up from when they have it and when our show's on?
I think the show is officially closed an hour or two before we go on the air. But they have a gathering for pizza and beer basically afterwards, as is tradition. So they'll still be around, but it's usually at a bar and it's usually pretty loud. I think we did try to stream there once and it was almost impossible to hear people.
Right.
No, it's beer, pizza, and beer.
and blood sausage or something weird like that the people in the UK eat.
Bloody hell. Is that what they say?
No,
I guess.
blood pudding, isn't it?
Yeah, blood pudding. There's also a blood sausage too, isn't there? If I remember, I had some in Ireland. If I remember,
I'm sure there is.
Here we just eat snow. It's Canada, so
just avoid the yellow snow.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. And flying cats.
That's just, intro and outro, flying cats. Cool.
That's right.
So, is this still your busy time working?
Yes. I had no jobs Monday or Tuesday, then I got one on Wednesday, 3 on Thursday, and then 5th one on Friday. While I'm trying to transition the mail servers and stuff over to the new provider, which I haven't had time to do any of that yet. And I've, of course, they're all rush jobs because they're late from the client's client. So I'll be going back to that this weekend. finishing the 5th job, and then I got to get back to getting my work stuff moved over since I've got the web pages moved over now.
And then, depending on who wins this week, you might need a whole different set of tickets next week, right?
No, it's not playoffs. This is all college basketball and a little bit of college hockey type stuff.
Oh, cool. Stability in your life. Nice.
Yeah, no, this is the tail end of my busy season. I should only have a few more weeks of it, then I can get back to a lot of CoCo stuff, but haven't been able to touch it much at all the last few weeks. Plus all the problems with, getting the server transition stuff, because that did not go smoothly at all and still isn't going smoothly at all. So, but at least they're back up.
Okay. Any news on CoCo Tech coming up?
Nick and I still have to do the follow-up in Hero to go through some of the stuff we discovered. But I haven't had time to even really think about it, so it'll be weeks before we get to that. Plus, I think Nick needs a break from it too. Right, Nick?
Yep.
I'm just going to delete the old show notes and all that, the one with the extra story in.
All right. I'm still working on one, but it looks like this. A few segments that need to be conjoined, and I don't even know what I'm talking about yet. So,
Mark,
I'm always like that. I never know what I'm talking about. So,
is your finger on the trigger, Mark?
It's getting closer.
He's ready. He's itching.
All right, here we go.
This concludes another episode of the CoCoNation, the world's leading live interactive talk show featuring the Technicolor computer. For all things the CoCoNation, visit us on the web at thecoconation.com. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to show@thecoconation.com. The CoCoNation show would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. The CoCoNation theme song, copyright 2022, D. Bruce Moore. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. The CoCoNation is over. Join us on the CoCo Discord server. CoCo forever.
But wait, there's more.
yes. Whilst the show was going on, the last tail end of it here, after we showed the bit about the stock footage of the CoCo keyboard thing, Mikey Furman went and actually found it under Shutterstock.
Oh, nice.
I'll show that right now.
Anyone can use it.
Well,
For
with
a
a
fee?
nominal fee, yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Now we're going to see the S key.
Yep, the 2 key does have a double quote, so
Yeah.
It's sufficiently funky.
Now, can we tell what this person is typing?
Oh,
random garbage by the looks of it. Oh, maybe not. Just sped up.
JIIJI 98.
There's a couple of F's in there. Too many F's.
It's described as panning across a vintage computer keyboard with the hands of a woman with red painted nail types. And you can get it in 4K if you want.
Yeah.
Just for fun, let's do a strike on it.
And it was actually uploaded September 30th, 2021. So it's actually 3 years old.
Oh, wow.
This is the CoCo. The CoCoNation would like to know.
Oh, and there's more. Yeah.
Yeah, one more with a little bit of a red
There's a
filter
4K
on.
one with a red hue to it.
Do we get to see the girl's face?
No.
Nope.
Or is it?
No, Ron, calm down.
Maybe it's a guy.
Yeah, keep your hormones in check there, Ron.
It could be a guy.
Type C all in the top area.
Yep.
There might be more.
I like an iPad keyboard typing here.
Hmm.
Oh, this is just doing a similar video as anything with a keyboard or mouse, basically.
Oh, okay.
Right. Anyway, we're famous.
Anyway, thanks for finding that, Mikey. I wasn't expecting anybody to track that down that quick.
That's cool.
I'm just
Now,
surprised it's 3 years old. That's surprising.
Run the
Considering
outro again.
Yeah. Let's not say we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make the noise. It's over.
Okay.
Go home. Right.
Yep. Something like that. Bye, everybody.
Bye. See you next week.
Sorry. Bye.
We'll be back, unfortunately.